The Fan.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland. An Odyssey sports station. Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. The number one Oregon Ducks in Ann Arbor facing Michigan tomorrow at the Big House. 12:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Ducks are 14.5-point favorites. Our live coverage starts at 6 a.m. with the Center and the St. Tailgate Show. Ducks Game Day with Dirk Dusty and Anthony Newman then comes on at 8, and stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. Over on the hardwood, the Trailblazers with a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder before a 4-game trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle still out. Robert Williams III out again as well after being a game-time decision as recently as yesterday. He still has not played this season. The Blazers are 11.5-point dogs. After the 76ers were fined $100,000 on Tuesday for public comments about center Joel Embiid's health status, he's listed as out tomorrow against the Grizzlies, while forward Paul George listed as a game-time decision. And the Pelicans have announced guard C.J. McCollum will miss 2 to 3 weeks with a right adductor strain, while forward Herb Brooks is out 2 to 4 weeks due to a right shoulder strain and a rotator cuff tear. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for a noon kick.
Let's go, babe. Come on, let's have some fun, man.
This is Danny and Dusty on Football Friday.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
It's a Football Friday edition here on Danny and Dusty. Danny Meringue, Dusty Hara out on his way, actually now in Ann Arbor, Michigan for Ducks Wolverines. Will Ortner.
What's up?
In for Dusty. Jeff Rust behind the glass.
Holla at your boy.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful, wonderful Friday. It's craptacular outside. Boy, it's
wet, dude.
It's disgusting outside. I actually pulled out like the actual like waterproof jacket, and I don't do that often. But I was like, when I left the house, it was pouring.
Mm-hmm.
Not the like. Even it was one of those things where it's like, hey, it's a very short trip from my front door to my car.
Yeah.
I don't want to get that wet.
Yeah. It's like, remember the part in Forrest Gump where he's describing all the little the different kinds of rain, and when he was in Vietnam, you got your big old fat raindrops.
Yeah.
You're coming up from the water. You got the little itty bitty stinging rain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was a pain in the butt. I had to take my mom to the airport this morning.
Oof.
And
Friday airport trip, huh?
Yeah, she's going to Alaska. Got to get her run in. She's never been to Alaska, so my mom's doing this whole thing where she's getting a run in each
Does she
state.
know that it's like dumping all of the snow in the world?
Yeah,
up
she
there
does
right now.
Yeah. Her friend's already up there because they're going up to watch her friend's daughter play some volleyball.
Okay.
And so the friend is already up there, and she's like, "Look, it's already snowy." And my mom's like, "I ran in Moscow, Russia. Like, I'll be okay as long as it's not icy."
No, it's like
Well, yeah.
I was literally talking to. I've got a friend who's stationed up at Eielson Air Force Base right now. Him and I were playing some Call of Duty last night, and I'm like, "How you doing, man?" And he goes, "I can't leave." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "There's like 4 feet of snow outside my door right
Yeah.
now." He goes, "Even if I wanted to, I can't leave right now." I'm like, "Oh, it's that bad?" He's like, "It's been snowing for 2 days."
Yeah. Underrated movie set in Alaska, Insomnia. Pacino and Robin Williams and Hilary Swank.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie.
A lot of non-sleeping in that, or what's up?
Yeah, well, it's because it's during the summer. Yes, exactly. Because it's during the summertime in Alaska when the sun basically never goes down.
That's awesome. I've
Yeah.
always wanted to be a part of that. Like right now, it barely even comes up.
No, you don't want to be a
No,
part
just
of
No,
for
it
like
makes
a
you
little
crazy.
bit. Just for like a week.
And that's the whole point of it. Like,
And that's why you don't sleep.
Pacino
This makes
goes
sense.
nuts in that movie. And Robin Williams is at like his creepy best.
Yes.
Okay, what movie?
Like that in 1 hour photo.
What movie does Pacino not go nuts in though?
No, but it's like
Different kind of nuts.
yeah, it's it's the crazy because of the sun never going down.
So
Mm.
the closest I've been to like I've done survival school up in Alaska, and it was not quite that bad. It was like 20 hours of sunshine. when I
See,
was up there, so I didn't get the full like.
that seems cool.
It screws with you. It really
does,
does.
yeah.
Really?
It messes with your circadian rhythms.
There you go.
Ooh.
I've had the other side of it where you
Never
only
been good
have
at
like
rhyming.
5 hours of sun. In North Dakota, I'd get up at about 4:30 in the morning. It's pitch black outside. This is in the winter.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, drive into work, and I work underground. I would get out of work at like 4, and it's pitch black outside. So
yeah,
it's like,
it's dark the whole time.
so and this was like this for like 6 weeks, and unless you like poked your head outside at noon, and even then, like you just didn't get much. You wouldn't see the sun for weeks, man, and it was like, what the hell is this?
See, but
it messed with me.
I don't want that. I want
Yeah.
sun all the time.
Even
I want
it's
to
the same
play-
thing though.
No,
That makes you crazy. I'm telling you,
That's
dude.
fine. I can be crazy. I want to play wiffle ball at midnight. Like every time I hear Sukanik talk about that, I'm
Yeah.
like, yes,
No, I mean-
that would rock.
The first time it's like 10:30 at night, and the sun is just like in the middle of the sky.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, what
Oh,
the hell
Will's
is?
messing around with the old FAFO chart.
Yeah,
Find out.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
like it makes you. It's like when you try to grapple with like the expanse of space. When you get the same kind of feeling. Like your brain just kind of melts like a hot pat of butter on a pat of butter on a hot pan. And you're just like, this doesn't make sense.
See, I'm really on the FAFO chart today because I'm really playing with it because I want all of this. I'm also in a war with my new sister-in-law. I've gone to war with her.
Over.
I got a text. Let me read it for you. This was sent into the family group chat, and I think it's a purpose pitch by her. She has finally look, we are very excited to have her a part of the family, and she is lovely. But she knows that she can now start pushing her weight around now that she's married to my brother. It's officially Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Today through December 25th, we will be celebrating Christmas. On November 27th, we will take a one-day intermission to give thanks. Then Christmas is back on.
This is disgusting.
And and now I'm in a
Disgusting
war.
behavior. No,
I'm in
you're
a
like-
war. I have to defend.
I will
the
put
calendar.
I will put my banner up alongside Will Ortner.
I'm right.
Yeah, no, you are.
You are right.
You are.
You have to wait
Yeah.
until after Thanksgiving.
And I don't remember if I saw this after or said this on the show the other day or not, but like 2 weeks ago, I was at Michael's with one of my daughters.
Yeah.
And they had literally like one aisle of Halloween stuff left, and then it was all Christmas.
No. See, that is Bush League.
And we were talking
Julius-
mid-October.
Julius Caesar fought so that we could have a normal traditional calendar. You cannot come in here and ignore it. That's anarchy. We cannot have this.
That's
And
actually what the Civil War was about.
no, wrong. This is what that play by William Shakespeare was about.
Yeah.
This is why Brutus stabbed him. Brutus was a Christmas all the time.
So this
guy.
normal
E2, Brutus?
this normal calendar, do we remember still how like all of the what is it, the Latin or prefixes of the months do not mesh in the last 4 or so months of the year?
Well, yeah, that's because of Julius, July, and then Augustus Caesar, August.
And then September,
It's supposed to be
7,
seven,
but it's
yeah,
the 9th
yeah.
month. October,
Well,
well,
'cause
8, which is the 10th.
Because originally there were 10, but
Yeah.
Caesar.
So
and
thanks,
Augustus-
Caesar.
So look,
the
Caesar.
salad.
Look, yeah,
Caesar
you have a
makes
fine
good
salad, but you know.
he messed everything else up. But he's right on this.
What did Julius get? I mean, he got a month. It didn't get
I don't know
anything.
what, a stab wound?
An orange?
He got to be the first emperor. He made it not a
I
democracy.
prefer the strawberry banana
See,
one
like it
myself.
took you a second. Yeah, a little orange
Oh,
Julius.
I missed it.
Yeah.
Dang it. All I'm
That's
saying
when I know
is-
it's good, when it slides by Russ for a split second. It's
second.
like, there it is.
You got me.
Yeah.
You got me. My mouth was open on that one.
I'm just I'm anti-skipping Thanksgiving. And I'm
I'm
not
with
even
you.
the biggest Thanksgiving guy. There's a calendar for a reason. You don't
Well,
get to jump Thanksgiving.
I dig on the Thanksgiving because it gives me an excuse to be gluttonous on the mashed potatoes and gravy and
There you
stuffing.
go.
Right?
Yeah. And have about 4 dinner rolls,
See,
you know,
I'm-
mopping up all the rest of the gravy and yeah.
Big
I-
peanut butter pie guy.
I mean, we
here.
can talk about when we get to Thanksgiving. I am the most childlike on Thanksgiving in the sense of I don't want 8 different things on my plate.
Yeah, I go.
I want the turkey
Yep.
and ham, and even then,
so we didn't even go with we don't even mess around with ham. It's
See,
just turkey.
I'd rather have ham than turkey.
Yeah, ham's for Christmas at our
See,
house.
I get
I agree.
that. I
Same.
get that, but I
Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day is the prime rib.
Yep.
There
yep.
you go.
Exactly.
yes.
Thank
See,
you.
we're more of a prime rib on Christmas. Occasionally a ham, but there's usually a turkey and ham at Thanksgiving wherever we go. But then mashed potatoes, gravy, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rolls,
Mm-hmm.
and that might be it.
I'll throw in and this never happened until I was a grown up, until I was an adult. But I do dig on the green bean casserole.
See,
too.
Yeah, at
green
like
bean-
22.
Yeah,
that's
green-
when it changes and
But
you
it
can eat
has
it.
to have bacon. If you don't put bacon
Oh,
in your
yeah.
green bean casserole, you can screw right
No,
off.
look, I green beans is one of my green beans and asparagus are two things that I don't eat.
Oh, see, the green bean casserole, and I even one
I'm
year
out.
we made like an Italian version of it. So instead of the bacon, it was pancetta, and you throw in some like Parmesan cheese
Ooh, there you
and
go.
rosemary.
There you go. There's that rosemary.
I like the
again.
yams, dude. The yams with a little bit of marshmallow on top.
See,
And
that's
again,
not
see,
me.
This is
No,
like
I'm
all
all for
this
it.
extra stuff.
Not my thing.
Like everyone's like,
No,
oh, what
for
about the
it.
pumpkin pie? I'm like, I'm good. I just want to take my little Hawaiian rolls, rip them in half, put my ham inside,
See, I
and
don't-
dip it in the mashed potatoes.
And I don't want the Hawaiian ones. I want the straight, like just plain white dinner roll, like the things that you used to get basically when you were a kid in
Okay.
elementary
yeah,
school.
I know what you're talking about. Those are also acceptable.
Yeah.
The roasted top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% there.
Where they're
Again,
all you got to pull them
pull
apart.
apart.
and-
Yeah. But the Hawaiian roll is kind of the same
And
vein.
the King's Hawaiian, they make those,
Yes.
the white dinner roll version.
That's
Yes.
typically what we'll go with.
Yeah.
But
You got the
I go
Hoppas
like
of the Howleys.
3 things. Like I just it's weird because I eat eclectically the rest of the year as far as like what I'm willing to eat. But Thanksgiving, it's like the scope narrows
Yeah.
very, 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 very tightly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Meat, potatoes, bread,
Yeah, that's
and
it.
green bean casserole.
That's
I
it.
take a lot of those.
Oh, and the stuffing.
Are those the Hawaiian rolls,
And all of it gets gravy.
dude.
Yeah.
See, anti-gravy. I know that's a bad stance. I know it's a bad stance on my part. I'm aware. I'm aware. Anti-gravy, but I take all the Hawaiian rolls and I put all the turkey in there, and then sometimes if I can steal some of the extra bacon, put that next to it, and then I put a little bit of Frank's hot sauce. It's great. And then
I'm
the
okay
day
with this.
the
I'm okay
day
with this.
after,
Mhm.
the leftovers. Oh, it's beautiful.
Hey, look, leftovers. I do the exact same thing. I'm not a stuffing person. I am not a desserts person. It's just not my jam. So, but
Oh.
yeah,
Love jam.
day after, do the same thing. Except this time, you warm up the potatoes and the ham, or potatoes and the turkey, and they both go directly in the roll as opposed to being dipped. Like you turn it into a little samey, right?
Mm.
I think that's the way. At least for me. Like again, I'm like I said, I turn into a child on
Yes.
Thanksgiving. It's very, very like
But
I don't want anything else. Those are the things that I want.
But that's the way it should be. And like, my mom makes a great peanut butter pie, and I love eating the peanut butter pie.
Mhm.
Like, it's so good. And it's trying to be stolen from me by my new wonderful sister-in-law.
Yeah, no, that's weird.
My wife makes one too.
We can't have this.
It's that plain like chocolate like Keebler crust, and you get the peanut butter filling with the.
She does some kind of Oreo thing too.
You can
dude.
do the
There's
Oreo or the
Oreos,
chocolate
and
one,
it's
yeah.
so good.
You got some cream cheese
such
in
a
there, and
fat
it's nice
kid
and
at
whipped. A lot
heart.
of powdered sugar.
Oh,
we
it's
throw in
so
the little mini chocolate chips. In
Yep,
it.
yep.
And then top it with either more of the mini chocolate chips or Reese's Pieces.
100%.
Vanguard 4
100%.
text line. That is a serial killer level text. Christmas season doesn't start until after Thanksgiving. Yes.
Yes. No.
From one serial killer to another, it is.
You
That
have
is the
to
correct take.
100%.
No, they're banding together too, because the next text underneath that was from my mother, and she was like, my wonderful mother.
Are neither of them like pumpkin spice latte fall people?
The sister-in-law is my mother's not coffee.
That's interesting,
she's
'cause
anti-coffee.
Usually, the pumpkin spice fall people, they want to like bask in the fall.
She might. I don't know if
or
my
she
new
or she
sister-
more peppermint latte.
She likes it all, dude. She's big. She's big coffee.
Mm.
Like, she's a pro coffee drinker. I'm just saying that, like, the calendar has to have meaning. But now I think my mom has been shut out, because it was a boys' club in the Ortner family group chat for a very long time. Because as soon as this idea was pitched, I almost feel like they talked about it beforehand. It got pitched, and mom co-signed it right away.
Yeah, see, like I'm not a coffee guy, and not the pumpkin spice, but one of my favorite like holiday drinks. If you go to the joint that is siblings of Dutch descent, shall we say? It's called the Christmas Morning, and it's a white chocolate chai breve, and it's amazing. Get some whipped cream on there and some peppermint sprinkles.
I'm trying to figure out who is. Who is of Dutch descent?
The siblings of Dutch descent. Let's think about this real hard.
Oh, I thought you meant like a branch off of from the Dutch descent.
No, just
oh,
a coffee stand.
Brotherly, perhaps.
Yes.
Oh, no, I know what he means now. I thought that there was a split. There was like one of the brothers got upset with the other brother. Like Steve couldn't take what was going on with Adam anymore, so Adam left. Adam's doing his own thing.
There are only two things I can't stand in this world.
I didn't know.
People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
That's a great drop.
It is.
I did not.
I don't get to play that one much.
See, there are people
That's
texting in
Goldmember,
right
right?
now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Little
him
Michael
saying
Caine.
that.
Caine,
Yes.
Oh.
One of the more interesting things is Michael Caine's actual given birth name. It's not Michael Caine. It's not Michael Caine.
Oh,
Maurice Micklewhite
I like that
is
better.
his given name.
I like that better.
Maurice Micklewhite.
I think we didn't even bring Maurice back. Again, my wife and I are discussing baby names right now.
Yeah.
And we found some interesting ones. Every time I I started doing the most popular names this year. And then what I started doing was working my way backwards.
Yeah, because exactly the ones at the top, like those are the ones that we avoided.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
like, but I mean, in years.
It's like, guess what? We're gonna
in
have 9
2023,
Liams in this kindergarten
oh,
class.
I will allow you to name your child William.
Also, Xander. Xander apparently is.
Oh,
the
boy.
Zan.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of Xanders.
X is making a comeback.
Yeah.
Well,
Xander-
it's
was that from
Xavier.
Charmed or was
That's-
that like
yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I
Which
don't
one was that?
know.
I think
I
it was
can't-
Buffy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Real Bros of Simi Valley. That's big Xander.
Yeah.
Sure.
Zon.
Yeah.
Now I'm a teacher. I should know this. Hannah's always big. Hannah is a big
Really?
name. Oh yeah.
That must be making a comeback then.
I think it made its comeback when I was in school because I like every class I had from kindergarten all the way through to college, there was a Hannah in there somewhere.
Sorry, that was
we're like hermetically sealed boxes, and Jeff Russ is killing bugs inside.
I
the,
just saw.
provision
How does a
box.
fruit fly wind up in here?
Do you have fruit in there?
No, really. Look at me. You think I'm bringing fruit with me to work?
I don't know.
Maybe a pie, some jam or some jelly, fruit adjacent, fruit leather.
If you have a pie in there, don't tweet out how you eat it. They'll be very mean to you.
Another. Jeez. Another given birth name that you might not suspect for somebody.
Don't look like you had sex with it then.
I didn't. I just ate it. The dumbest thing about that is I tweeted out that picture like people are going to be so upset with me that I didn't cut out a piece of pie and just ate the pie straight from the thing.
Oh my God! This one
I
time at
was
band camp.
so stupid. Like I tweeted. Here's the worst part
For
about
those that are wondering, Will tweeted out a picture of a pie that looked like he put his junk in it.
Yeah.
No.
100%.
No. It was too
100%.
big of a bite. It was too big of a bite. It could clearly have not been too big of a bite.
I'm not saying that was the bite was the imprint. I'm saying it looks like you wiggled
it was-
around
no,
in
it
it.
looked like you had your way with it.
No,
Yeah.
no. You guys are all gross, disgusting animals who have watched a movie that I've seen
All right.
2 through like 5 of.
Go search back a couple weeks in Will's
You can
timeline.
find, you
and
can find
form
it.
your
It's
own
not
opinion.
very. It's not very hard. At Will Ortner.
I will
Feel
grab
free to follow.
I will
Go
grab
on
the 1080
media.
account right now. Go grab it. Does it look and retweet it with? Does it look like Will had sex with this pie?
No, they
And
Sprague already
the
did it.
overwhelming
Sprague already
majority
did it, and
will
I
be
lost.
yes.
Yeah.
But here's the dumb part about that. I cooked the pie. I started eating out of the pie, and I was like, "This will be really funny," because
So close.
no,
So close.
I was like, "This will be really funny." Because
I'm not gonna have
instead
time to
of
get this
cutting
before
a
the break.
slice out, I will just eat the pie normally, and everyone will be upset that I didn't cut a slice out of the pie. And then I tweeted it, put my phone in my pocket, got in my car, have Do Not Disturb on in my car, drove to work for 45 minutes. So
Are
I
you
didn't
going like
look
a
at
pie
it.
eating contest? Are you getting this pie all over your face?
No, because I came right to work. And so I like pulled my phone out and I had no idea. And I'm like, I have 1,000 like messages here. Look, good for me. I have figured out Twitter. And then it's all Will Bangs Pies. And it's like, no, hold on. What happened?
What? What
are you talking about?
That's
I
a
don't
hell of
bang
a
pies.
band name for a punk rock band.
Dude,
We've been Will Banks Pies. Thank you, Portland.
it completely, and then I was rattled. Like,
You catch
what
the new
movies are you guys watching?
You catch the latest WBP?
Dude, I just sat there and was like, I got American Pie. That's brutal. It's brutal.
There you go.
Just trying to enjoy my cherry pie.
Well, speaking of getting screwed over,
Just like Jenny Lane and Warrant.
right?
Yeah, great song.
Let's get this show started. Maybe the Texans got a little screwed over last night as C.J. Stroud had his worst game as a pro, and the Jets are maybe back on track. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Those palaces in the desert are built that way for a reason. They got all of us with the big bait, giving the Texans +2. Instead, the New York Jets flipped the script, win 21-13 on Thursday night in an absolute stinker from the Texans. C.J. Stroud, his worst game as a pro, 11 of 30, $191, sacked 8 bleeping times.
The O-line's bad.
The O-line's bad. You've got
bad.
your tackle out. They're hunting now for some help and some replacements.
Do we even have David Carr saying, boy, that offensive line is really bad?
That looks familiar.
David Carr's like, I wish I had that offensive line.
That's better.
Only 8?
The interesting thing is Joe Mixon was actually still able to run effectively in spite of the offensive line just being a complete sieve. The pushback, I think, even not even pushback, the counterpoint, I think, to this is even that even with the Texans' offensive line issues the last couple of weeks, the Jets' defensive line hasn't lived up to its billing. Mm-hmm. They've got dudes, and they have not been effective. This is really the first week where you saw it all kind of come together. And Hassan Reddick did make his debut for the Jets, gets out there, and he does register a sack, but it wasn't just him. When you get 8 sacks, that's not one person going off. That's your whole defensive line getting pressure all game long. And it's not like the Jets were up, early and often just punking points. The Jets didn't score until the second half.
Right. Well, I mean, the big thing is like you got Quinnen Williams going too.
Yes.
Like Quinnen Williams had 1.5 sacks in this game. He was all over the field. But when you can get that pressure from the middle, it's why the Rams were so good, where they had a relatively average D-line, maybe slightly above, but they had Aaron Donald.
Who demanded a double at minimum and sometimes a triple team.
But when you get pressure up the middle, it's different than getting it on the sides, because if you're getting pressure on the sides, the quarterback, unless he's looking that way, he's not going to see it. So sometimes he doesn't even know, oh, hey, here it comes, right? When it's in the middle and it's in his face, that's when you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks, instead of looking downfield and continue to try and find someone open, your eyes drop. And now it's, how do I get out of here? And it stops becoming a, how can I scramble or move around to find someone open down the field? It turns into, how can I get out of this so I don't get hit by that very large man? Right now, this year, you're seeing a lot of success for that Kansas City defense, because that's exactly what Chris Jones is doing. That's why the Seahawks went out and got Byron Murphy, because they think that he can be that type of guy. When Quinnen Williams is at his best, and he was able to do that because you do get Hassan Riddick back. So now he demands more attention on the outside at that edge rusher position. You can't focus as much on Williams. You can't double team him as much. And now in a one-on-one matchup, he was just eating. And to be honest with you, Stroud got sacked 8 times. He still ran for 59 yards on the ground. It should have been worse when it came to the sack department.
Yes.
If that's Kirk Cousins back there, I mean, if that's Davis Mills, your backup, it looks 1,000 times worse. And that's why I think that Stroud's passing game was so off. He was throwing deep balls early, all game long, especially in the third and fourth quarter, because he didn't want to get hit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you had 11 targets in the game that were either disrupted or dropped.
Yeah.
11. I mean, just going down the list, Ogunbowale, 3 targets, no catches. Cade Stover, 2 targets, no catches. Michi, 2 targets, no catches. Xavier Hutchinson, 3 targets, no catches. That's a weird thing to see.
And he was missing.
Yeah.
Mechie should have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
Mechie was open, should have had a touchdown, and C.J. Stroud misses him because he's throwing it early. He threw it a step earlier than when he normally would throw that ball.
And you could, again, this is his worst game of his career as a pro. He was rattled. He was off time, off balance. He just, it looked
100%.
weird. And you have to give the Jets credit. Now, offensively, Aaron Rodgers went to the well. That is Devontae Adams.
Yes, he
He
did.
said, "I know where this guy's going to be. I don't care what our play call is. I know that, you know, when I want to go to him, it's going to be there." Now, it looked a little bit weird last week. Rightfully so, as he's trying to sort through some things, and he probably forced the ball to Devontae a few too many times, and that's, I think, what led to that. But you also had Garrett Wilson make the catch of the year.
I am still confused, I think, and I can't believe in the year of 2024, what's a catch? What is different about what he did than what George Pickens did on Sunday night?
That was the
What's
very,
different?
Right when I saw that catch, I was like, how is that different? Yes, because it's the same foot that tapped twice, basically. When then he got the shin too, I guess.
That's the thing.
That's
which-
why the shin
The other
counts.
thing that like Dirt and Sprague talked about is, why is it that you need 2 feet down, but you need 1 shin? You need 1 knee. You need 1
one
elbow.
elbow.
We need 1 hip.
I thought the shin counts as an extra foot. So like, if
But
you
it was
get
the,
a
it was
foot
the same
and then a
leg.
shin,
It was the
that's
same
what-
leg though as the first toe tap.
Agree, and so that's why I'm confused, because like,
But yes, but
the-
1 shin and
The
yeah.
only reason that his shin gets down is because his foot hit and then it like flicked up as he went down. What is the difference? Like, in my eyes, I thought the George Pickens catch was a catch.
should be.
I thought it was more of a
If you're
catch.
talking about 2 feet, why does it have to be 2 different feet?
Right. And I thought it was more of a catch than what Wilson had.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, Wilson's is a catch and it's a touch. There has to be a more clear rule. There just has to be. If Pickens' catch isn't a catch, that's not a catch. That being said, what an unbelievable catch.
It was an absolutely insane catch, and yes, the freeze frame does look exactly like the Jordan Brand logo, which is hilarious.
I was
for
going to say,
Adidas
who
guy.
is his shoe sponsor?
Yeah, he's an Adidas guy.
Is he?
Did you guys catch Devontae Adams?
Oh,
postgame?
yeah. Adams is already like, hey, I'm
Who's-
going to get you in with some of my boys.
He's a Jordan Brand guy.
like, I got you.
He said, Devontae Adams about Garrett Wilson in the postgame said, "I told him he might get kicked from Adidas after that one. That one looked like he was headed over to Jumpman with me. I'm going to go talk to some people." Is this a one-off, or are the Texans in trouble?
Well, you're going to get Nico Collins back, and I would not.
It's gonna
You're
hurt.
not
it's
in
gonna, It's
trouble.
going to hurt a bit not having Diggs.
I would say you're not in trouble, but you're definitely like, you're flirting with it. You're flirting with some danger because as good as you have looked most of this year, that offensive line looked really rough.
And you're going to need a different receiver to step up a bit some and take some of that focus off of Nico Harrison, and that's why they got Stephon Diggs there.
Right. Well, but so you have Tank Dell. Tank Dell had 6 catches, 126 yards. Tank Dell is a great number 2. He's going to get to be the number 2 once you get Nico Collins back. That also then opens more stuff
Collins,
up.
I said Harrison, sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah, brain fart.
I knew what you meant. And that'll open up more stuff for Dalton Schultz, too. So, yes, you would love to have Stephon Diggs there. That's obviously why you brought him in. But I do think that you'll get more of a version of the Texans from last year, at least offensively. The difference is this year, their defense is miles ahead of what they were the year before because they've been in D'Amico's system now for 2 years. So more of the unspoken things are getting done. More of the things where you have to build chemistry to be able to, oh, that guy went to the wrong gap. I can see he's in the wrong gap, but I'm now going to fix it for him at the linebacker position. Or the linebackers are making the check early on. You're allowing more exotic fire zones. You're allowing more blitz packages. You're trusting your safeties and your corners to know when to rock and roll and not have to sit back into cover 2s and cover 4s to make sure that no one gets beat deep. You're able to do more now that you've had this system go for a while, right? So I think that this Texans team is going to be better. I do think it's more of a one-off, but I would be worried about the offensive line.
And that's the thing, even with the trade deadline, they're probably not going to be able to fix. And if they're going to figure this out, they've got to address that. As for the Jets, I don't know if they're getting on track. They sucked last night. They're going to have to do a lot. But in that division and in that conference, there's not a lot that you have to do because we know that there's 4 teams at the top of the AFC. After that, if you go on a run, if you win 5 out of 6, if you win 4 out of 5, any team that's got 3 wins right now can be right back in it.
Yeah, but
it's dumb.
You're the Jets.
Oh,
the run you have to go on with how you've looked, you have to beat the Cardinals, who have been frisky. You have to beat the Colts, who with Flacco have looked 1,000 times better. You have to beat the Seahawks, and there's a bye in there. But then you get the Seahawks. Who knows what you're going to get there. You're going to get the Dolphins. Hopefully, 2 is there. Jaguars, Rams, Bills, Dolphins to end the season. You get what? 1 loss? Maybe
yeah,
2.
You
get 1, maybe 2. Like you have to be almost perfect.
How many of those teams are really scaring you?
Bills.
Yeah.
Buffalo. Yeah. The Cardinals can be frisky. Seattle could be frisky.
But again, it's all frisky. It's like how many of those teams, like if I told you the Jets started to figure out their defensive was playing like this, that their pass rush was the maniacal beast that we kind of thought it was going to be, and Rodgers is finding his playmakers, and what they have managed to do this year, regardless, is run the ball. Breece Hall has been effective for the year.
I know he's on my fantasy team.
And
very happy about it.
And if you keep that running game going late into the season, and now you've got 2 targets that Rodgers infinitely trusts, and he looks more like himself, I don't think it's crazy to think that they could go on not a Super Bowl run. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they could find themselves in the thick of things and find themselves in a playoff spot. Because again, after that top 4 in the I almost say in the West, after that top 4 in the AFC, it feels like it's really anybody's game.
Everyone's mashed. I don't think it's crazy, but to me,
it's unlikely.
When I hear you talking about it, it's probably the same as when I go up to my buddies and I go, look at this 5-team parlay.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's like, look at this 5-team parlay.
You could pick 5 teams right now
loses?
in the AFC and go, that you could make a case for them.
Fair. And that's kind of the point of the season that we're in, though.
Yes.
Like, you have to continue to win week in and week out. But the other thing about this game is, in the fourth quarter, New York looked good. Quarters 1 through 3 offensively, I wasn't all that impressed. Defensively, yes.
And again,
100%.
remember that Garrett Wilson touchdown
yes.
was on a 3rd and 19.
Yeah, they just chucked it up.
So,
and it's an incredible play. It's an incredible catch.
Everything looks better when you score points.
It's a lot easier to be optimistic when you win
right.
than it is when you lose. And I think that there are some people in the Jets organization that unfortunately might just be learning that.
All right, coming up next, the Oregon Ducks play the Michigan Wolverines in a Big Ten showdown, but it is a bigger Big Ten showdown. The Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Penn State Nittany Lions this week in a battle for supremacy, or at least the second spot, in a potential Big Ten title game. We'll get to that and more, but first, here's a Big Kahuna with a Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a team of attorneys into whom you can place your trust. Call Reynolds Defense Firm today online at reynoldsdefensefirm.com. First on The Fan, the number one Oregon Ducks are in Ann Arbor, facing Michigan tomorrow at the Big House. 12:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Ducks are 14.5-point favorites. Our live coverage starts at 6 a.m. with the Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show. That's followed by Ducks Game Day at 8 with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony Newman. And then stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. Over in the NFL, Bengals receiver T. Higgins and running back Zach Moss both doubtful Sunday against the Raiders. And Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says quarterback Jordan Love questionable Sunday against the Lions. In the association, the Trailblazers have a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder. That's before heading out on a 4-game trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle still out. Robert Williams III out again as well after being a game-time decision as recently as yesterday. He still has not played this season. The Blazers are 11.5-point dogs. The Pelicans have announced guard C.J. McCollum will miss 2 to 3 weeks with a right adductor strain, while forward Herb Brooks will be out 2 to 4 weeks due to a right shoulder strain and a rotator cuff tear. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Auto accident, worried about
Ohio State Buckeyes travel to Penn State to take on the Nittany Lions in a top 5 matchup, number 3 versus number 4.
Can't wait.
And a lot is on the line here because if Penn State manages to win this game, it effectively knocks Ohio State out of the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
Because they will have 2 conference losses, and they will fall to 3-2 in conference. And they will be 3-2 with Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin.
Ohio State has to win this game if they want a chance to get to Indianapolis. With the way that Indiana's been playing. I mean,
it's the thing is you would have Indiana, Oregon, and Penn State now all undefeated, and you would need one of those to drop 2 to catch up.
And this essentially, and you're going to play Indiana, but essentially this is a championship game eliminator for Ohio State, but I'd make the argument that this is a playoff clincher for Penn State. Now, obviously you have to still win, but even if Oregon loses one game, Oregon's going to be in the playoff. Penn State, if they beat Ohio State, they put themselves in the exact same boat.
Yeah, and their final 4 is UW, Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland.
Purdue's horrible. Maryland's horrible. Minnesota can be frisky. UW can be frisky. Yeah. You're not losing 3 games. Because right now when you look at the playoff, it essentially is there might be 1, maybe 2 in an extreme long shot teams that get in with 3 losses. They're probably going to be from the SEC.
Yeah, I would imagine that's the case.
It's going to be a team like LSU, or it's going to be a team like Alabama.
You could get a team that has 2 losses in the SEC title game.
100%.
That loses in the SEC title game. And ends up with 3, and then finds a way and ends up as your 11 or 12 seed.
I think it's more likely in the SEC that you have their doomsday where there's 4 teams with 1 or 2 losses, and that's going to be what it is. But right now, as you look at it, it's a bigger game than this Penn State-Ohio State game has been in the last 10 to 15 years, I think, because of what is at stake for the 2 head coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, this could finally get Ryan Day back in maybe not the good graces of the Ohio State fan base, but it's going to get them a lot
because
of them.
Before you go,
okay.
What I want to say on this is I think the expectation is that Penn State is below them.
Fair. 100%.
I think that the single game that he has to win every year is Michigan.
And he hasn't done it recently.
No.
And I think that's fair. But I do think that winning this game gets him back in the conversation of being in the good graces with the fans because it keeps Ohio State as a potential Big Ten championship team. And I think for a lot of fans, at least from what I've listened to nationally, it's he either has to win the Big Ten title, which would be probably a rematch with Oregon, means they go undefeated. They knock off Indiana. They knock off Penn State. They knock off Michigan. Then if they can knock off Oregon, then all of a sudden you can have a conversation. Well, now he's starting to win the big one. Or he has to win the title. And I don't think that he wins the title without winning the Big Ten championship.
Well, I mean, if they don't win the Big Ten, I think he gets fired.
Right. And I know Sprague, because Sprague and I have debated this for a long time about should he be fired or should he not be. And to me, that's not the debate because Sprague is 100% right. Ryan Day, for 90% of college football, should not be fired for what he has done.
No.
But he's at the 10%, and he will be fired for what he's done.
When you are given that much talent, that much money, that much is put into it, the expectation is conference title at a minimum.
100%.
And if you like, there's a world that exists where he may not make it there.
Yeah.
And if that happens, they fire him in season.
I don't know that they fire him in season because of how recruiting is right now.
I think they want to. I think you can him so you can get into the recruiting immediately afterwards. Because if you, I understand with your transfer windows and everything else that comes up with that, but guys are going to sit out bowl games and dip out regardless,
right?
And I think if you get ahead of it, and again,
but a 2-loss Ohio State is still going to make the playoff. Can you go into? I don't think a team would go into the playoff with a fired coach.
Well, who's their offensive coordinator?
Chip Kelly. You don't want Chip Kelly as your head coach because.
But no, I'm saying
you're not going into the playoff with an interim.
I'm talking as an interim.
You're not going into a playoff, I think, with an interim.
You don't think so? Because I think it's a fever pitch right now with that fan base.
That seems a bit extreme. And look, it's never happened before because we've never had a 12-team playoff. No. We're going to find out
eventually
this year, right?
Eventually, this will happen.
This is the first time. Right now, we're doing a lot of just what do we think will happen? And it's all based off of what the 4-team in the BCS system was. But when I look at Penn State and James Franklin, like this could finally be his way of getting the monkey off his back.
Winning a big game, and he's going to have
beating
to do
Ohio
it.
State.
Perhaps without his quarterback. Drew
He's
Aller's
going
a
to
game.
play.
They said for sure he's going to play.
Cowherd said that he was going to play.
Okay.
I heard Cowherd say
Which
that
he does
was
have a
going to play.
relationship with Franklin, so
He does.
Wouldn't be surprising.
Now
if he knew.
that being said,
he's still dinged up.
The backup,
Bo
Prebula.
Oh, God.
Prepula.
I forgot.
It's very similar to one of my high school players' names that I coach.
Prabula.
Samsonite. I was way off.
Prebula. I coached a Prepula, so it's very similar. So Prebula, I think there will be a package for him with how he played against Wisconsin. He fits more of Klein's system, the offensive coordinator.
He came out and was dumb accurate with the ball and pushed it down the field.
Right. And I guess he's not the offensive coordinator. He's the quarterback coach. But he fits more of that system. They want a quarterback who is more mobile. Not that Aller is a statue back there, but he doesn't move the way that
he doesn't
the
have those
backup
options.
does. And so I wouldn't be shocked, especially with how he played against Wisconsin, that you have a package for that kid out there. And it's essentially a wildcat, but you have a true quarterback back there that can really throw. So teams have to defend the pass just as much as they have to defend running. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a banger.
Ohio State's
of
currently
game.
a 3-point favorite. They're dealing with their own injuries. Obviously, at left tackle, they're hosed. Losing your left tackle for the season is a problem.
Well, and then you lost your backup too.
Yeah.
You're on your third string left tackle. Abdul Carter, like that guy is a beast. Now, I would make the argument, at least so far this year, and maybe that's because of who's been around him, Mateo Uiagalelei is performing at a higher level than Abdul Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Abdul Carter is getting more eyes on him, and he doesn't have a Derek Harmon in the middle like Mateo Uiagalelei does. But Uiagalelei and Abdul Carter, it's a similar defensive end, and Uiagalelei ate all game. When you needed a big stop, he's the one who got it. On third down, when you've got a down blocking tackle, he shoved him off, and then he goes and he makes a big play. When you needed a sack, I understand that Howard slipped. Uiagalelei was there to make the big sack. Now you're having Abdul Carter go up against your third string left tackle. That guy's going to eat. He's going to have a big game. He's my X factor.
Taking a look at this game, this could be one of those situations where nobody's picking this to be a high-scoring affair. Again, Ohio State's favored by 3. The projections and prognosticators basically have this as some version of like 19-16 or 23-24. Everybody has this number one close and under 25 points. A big part of that is
Looks like the over-under is 46.5.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's your 23-21 kind of game.
Rock
for
fight.
23-24. Yeah, and a big part of that has to do with Ohio State's defense, according to basically all the metrics, is the best first half defense in the country. Penn State's offense is one of the lesser offenses in the country. They're 50th in scoring an EPA in the first half. They are a diesel engine, and like Dusty and I have been not shy about this. Neither of us are. Now Dusty, I think, finally jumped on my on the train I'm driving. Drew Aller's not that guy. The expectation of what he is and what he can be, he feasts on bad teams. Against good teams, he does not show up.
At least based off of last year, yes. Well, and USC, he has 6 interceptions on his career. 3 of them are in that USC game. I'll give that to you.
Yeah. And in against the biggest opponents, he has not managed to deliver. And Ohio State has a chance at a little bit of redemption here for having this great defense, this lockdown defense. They weren't able to get to Dylan Gabriel at all.
Right.
They weren't able to touch him. For having that front, that's kind of wild. That's a hat tip to Oregon. If you kept
that O-line is nasty, man.
Yeah, look,
they figured it out over there.
Dylan Gabriel hit Jack Sawyer with a move that I think his hips are still recovering from. He's a monster, Sawyer. He's a little stiff, and I it's one of the things I thought coming out of that game, and it's going to be interesting to see how effective Ohio State's pass rush can be, and whether or not one of their corners will get turned inside out like a linebacker in coverage.
Well, I'll tell you this: Penn State doesn't have the wide receiver group that Oregon does. I don't know if anyone and it's bold. I don't know that anyone in the country has as deep of what Oregon's has.
Texas.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. So one team in the country has as deep of a wide receiver group.
Texas has the best wide receiver room in the country.
I mean, Oregon's wide receiver group from Tez Johnson
Ohio
to
State's right there too.
Trajan Holden to
they don't have the quarterback play to
Evan
back it up,
Stewart, right? So all I'm saying that is I don't know that Penn State will be able to expose the Ohio State secondary
same
the
way
way Oregon
Yeah.
did. So they're going to have to do it by drive by drive. Now, what Penn State has that Oregon doesn't have, and Oregon has a pretty darn good tight end. That Warren kid that's playing tight end for Penn State and what they do with him and what Kotelnicki. I mean, Kotelnicki had him snap a ball at center and score a touchdown.
I'm aware of how good he is as a tight end. He tied the FBS record for receptions for a tight end against USC.
He's unbelievable.
I understand.
So what Penn State is going to be able to do to find different ways to get him the ball, I think is also going to be key because he's not going to really go up against that secondary.
No.
He's too big. Like
he's an underneath monster.
Do you want to put Caleb Downs on him? No, I don't, because he'll run right through him. So you have to put someone that can truly tackle. That means you're going to put one of the linebackers on him. Are they going to be fast enough or agile enough to maintain
or
coverage?
Can they go
on him?
up with him because he's an athlete too?
And they just won't be able to, I believe. And so I think that's where you're going to see the feast. It's Penn State has to be able to run the ball. I have picked Penn State, and I got him with the hook.
Okay.
I did.
Got the 3.5?
I got him with the 3.5.
Okay.
I just feel like this is the year, and I might be leaning too much on Ohio State has lost 2 left tackles.
I mean,
They're on to their
deal.
third, and Penn State's defensive line is about as close to Oregon's as you're going to get. I don't think it's as good as Oregon's, but it's as close to Oregon's as you're going to get. And I think them getting after Will Howard is going to be the key to this game. If they can make life for him hard and difficult, I think that Penn State's going to be able to get this game won, and I think that they do. I think that Carter gets after Howard all game.
All right. I'm still taking Ohio State because I trust Ohio State slightly more than I trust Penn State, which isn't saying much.
Fair.
Because I don't trust either coach, and I definitely don't trust either quarterback. So I think it's going to ultimately be what you said with the rock fight. All right, coming up next, we'll pivot to some basketball real quick, some news and notes, some injury updates, and Joel Embiid is tired of everybody being mad at him. We'll get to that more on Denny the Fan. Pivot to the NBA here real quick as the Philadelphia 76ers continue to be newsmakers as Joel Embiid and Paul George have both returned to practice for the first time this season.
Yay.
Yay! We'll actually see somewhat competent of a team for the Philadelphia 76ers because it's been the fighting Tyrese Maxeys to start the season.
He might be the only one willing to fight.
Well, I mean, Maxey's
At least through injury.
I mean, Maxey's a really good player, but it's also become very clear he's not a number one. He's a really good number two, and if he's your number three, you're in such a great spot, which is what the Philadelphia 76ers want to do. Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers, I shouldn't say Embiid, he was not fined. The 76ers were fined. And shout out to Kyle Neubeck, who works for PHLY in Philadelphia, who tried to basically nail down Nick Nurse on, hey, your team was just fined $100,000 for failure to communicate correct injuries and what's going on with Embiid. And can you explain why this is not being clear? And Nick Nurse went oh, we got fined? I wasn't aware of that. Just played dumb, which
smart.
Bravo, Nick Nurse. Him and Terry Stotts both had the same that's not my job. Daryl got fined, not me.
It's basically it's the equivalent of can you comment on this comment? I'd be like, I have not seen that tweet.
Nope. Sorry about that. But Joel Embiid did indeed have comments, and he wanted to let everybody know how he felt.
It was never decided. Like I said, everybody has been on the same page. If your body doesn't react well, and if your body tells you one thing, and I've done it. From what I can tell you, I've broken my face twice. I came back early with the risk of losing my vision. Had broken fingers. I still came back. So I'm not gonna sit here and be when I see people saying he doesn't want to play, I've been way too much. I've done way too much, for this city, and putting myself at risk, for people to be saying that. So I do think it's bullshit. Like that dude, he's not here. Marcus, whatever his name is. I've done way too much for this city to be treated like this. So done way too much. But like I said, I wish I was as lucky as other ones, but that doesn't mean that I'm not trying and I'm not doing whatever it takes to be out there, which I'm gonna be here pretty soon.
Okay, real quick, I'm actually with Joel Embiid on this. Joel has a body that has betrayed him, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's injury prone." It's not like he's out. He's not Joel Prisbilla slipping in the shower, tearing his Achilles. He's not Jay Williams disregarding his contract and wrecking his motorcycle and damn near losing his leg.
Right.
He's not. It's not either an accident or a level of stupidity that's causing him to get injured. And he is everybody gets like, "Oh, he's always injured in the playoffs," and he's still playing.
His body is not built for 82 games.
No, his body is just not built for this is what happens when
He's
you're
just
too
big.
When you're 7'1", 340 pounds. This is what happens. We tend to think of oh, it's Shaq would play through this, and Shaq does this. He's got to be tougher. It's like, Shaq, you're literally the only guy your size ever in the NBA. Shaq finally came out and said the quiet part out loud for anybody who's too stupid to understand this. He played at 430 pounds.
Well, he also
37 minutes a night.
The problem is people look at Shaq and go, "That's what Joel should be."
But that's what I'm saying. Even Shaq says
Shaq's the outlier.
He's
not the rule.
He's the one of one. Yao Ming cooked.
Didn't last long.
I mean, you looked at Bill Walton, feet broke down. Greg Oden, one leg longer than the other. It's like, when you're that big,
you break down quick.
Well, typically, our bodies are not meant to be this big. That's just the reality. Hell, you will are an outlier.
That's right.
Legit. How tall are you?
I'm 6'5".
Okay, at 6'5", I believe you are in less than 5% of the entire world is 6'5" or taller.
That's right. I'm special. I agree.
But I'm saying, when you talk the outliers of outliers, when
How
you're
did a guy your size fit on the short bus?
Few are built like me.
That's terrible.
It's not.
I didn't ride the bus.
You should have seen him the first time you saw a full-size bus. He went, wow, they get that big?
As a teacher, I condemn what you two are doing.
But as it pertains to the bigs, like Joel Embiid has played through a lot. And I don't care that they're resting him and they're trying to figure this out. Because I just want him to be out there, and I would like to see him get to the playoffs once healthy.
This is a dumb thought in my brain, but I've heard other people say it, and I've agreed with them. If you're Philly, don't you kind of want Joel to just not do basketball until about Christmas? Think about it.
I think in their best possible case, they would, but they can't.
I know, and the NBA won't let him, and I know why the NBA won't let him, and I know why Philly won't let him, and I understand it. It's business, but like you need to be playing. You can't just let him sit and then bring him back. But when you have a guy that is this injury prone, but when he's at his peak, he is dominant, unlike any other big in the game right now. I mean, he won an MVP, and he's been, the second MVP, the runner-up for MVP multiple times. If they could let Joel sit, he would be hitting his peak performance for the year right around when the playoffs start. And I think it's just unfortunate for Joel. One, he's in the most brutal city when it comes to fan bases. I mean, they literally threw batteries at Santa Claus. They hate everybody. And for Joel, he's just going to have to continue to deal with this. The problem is for Joel is that he always opens his stupid mouth. Like, just don't say it, man.
I mean, he's not going to not do that.
I know, but when he was with Team USA, he was talking about how he wasn't impressed with LeBron or Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. And that's always going to lead to a story where it's like Joel is being disrespectful to his teammates. This is going to lead to a story where it is Joel is disrespectful to the city. Joel doesn't like the city. And it's not fair how the fans are treating him. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the scrutiny would be less so if Joel didn't have these constant sound bites where he comes out and he goes,
honestly, I don't
shut
have
up.
I don't have an issue with this one. I genuinely don't. It's because he I think he is right, and I'm glad he's doing it. To be honest, like I get what you're saying. Like it just brings attention to it, but
right
when people are questioning just your toughness, and you're out there playing with a shredded knee, and you're playing
100%.
with your feet that are completely broken, your back is basically dust. Like
he's gonna need knee replacement surgery later.
I mean, that guy's not walking in his 50s. Like it's just the reality.
And I said I need a backiotomy.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, probably. And I'm not trying to do like a whole like just shut up and dribble, because that's not what it is. What I'm saying
there's
is
a spot in between.
It's like when you call out of work sick, and then on your Instagram story you have, oh, here's this 30 rack I bought, of beer. That's essentially what he's doing, and it's like perception becomes reality. You can't have these types of comments and expect them not to come back at you, especially Philadelphia, for toughness.
Boy, it's a good thing I'm not on the gram.
Right? All right, coming up next in hour number 2, we'll go back to this college football. The Oregon Ducks taking on the Michigan Wolverines in a big-time Big Ten matchup in the Big House. We'll get to that and more here on 1080 The Fan.
Hi, it's
From the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Laurelhurst Market Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. Grab your meat for grilling season and save 10% on your Butcher Shop order when you dine in. Menus at laurelhurstmarket.com. First on The Fan, the number one Oregon Ducks in Ann Arbor facing Michigan tomorrow at the Big House. 12:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Ducks are 14.5-point favorites. Our live coverage starts at 6 a.m. with the Sinner and the Saint Tailgate Show. Then at 8, it's Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony Newman. Stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. Over in the NFL, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says quarterback Jordan Love questionable Sunday against the Lions, and Bengals receiver T. Higgins and running back Zach Moss both doubtful Sunday against the Raiders. On the hard court, Trailblazers a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder before heading out on a 4-game trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Bob Williams III, all are out. Williams still has not played yet this season. The Blazers are 11.5-point underdogs. After the 76ers were fined $100,000 on Tuesday for public comments about center Joel Embiid's health status. He's listed as out tomorrow against the Grizzlies, while Paul George is listed as a game-time decision. And the Pelicans announced guard C.J. McCollum will miss 2 to 3 weeks with a right adductor strain, while forward Herb Jones will be out 2 to 4 weeks due to a right shoulder strain and rotator cuff tear. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan. It's Football Friday on The Fan.
It's a man's game now.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Football Friday with Danny and Dusty on 1080.
We have great expectations.
The Fan.
Hour number 2 here on Danny and Dusty on a Football Friday edition. Thank you for listening, whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this craptastic Friday because it is out there nasty. Playing out there nasty. Oregon Ducks out in Ann Arbor, Michigan in the Big House taking on the Wolverines. Keeping it running, keeping it moving. As of right now, the injury report has not changed for the Michigan Wolverines. They're still going to be dinged up. They're still going to be one quarterback short as Tuttle has decided to hang it up due to his 5th concussion.
He's going to retire.
He is going to medically retire. He is done with college football. Which way the Wolverines go at quarterback, I don't know. This is something, will they, won't they?
They're going to do both. So you'll have, I always, because he has 2 first names and 2 last names, Davis Warren Davis. He is going to start.
The law firm.
Yes. Exactly. And you are going to see Alex Orji in certain packages.
It's an orgy in the end zone.
I don't think you're going to hear that on Saturday. I think that Oregon's defensive line, they're going to get after that Michigan O-line, because what Oregon can do is they have a good enough secondary that you can pretty much man up on the outside and get after the passer. And they probably don't even have to do that. With how well that this defensive line has been playing and how deep the defensive line is, they just have dudes. Uyunglele is getting after people. Derek Harmon is unblockable. Tatum Tuioti, he is always in the backfield creating havoc. The only way that this game can even be close is if Michigan has a bunch, 2 to 3, I guess is what I'm going to classify as a bunch of, but drives where Mullings and Edwards just find a way to get 3.5 every single time they get the ball. And I don't think that they're going to be able to do that because Oregon is just going to stack the box and bring blitz after blitz after blitz.
Do what USC didn't do, which was wait for the play action pass or orgy to get to the edge. Mm-hmm. Instead, Oregon's going to look to dictate, and that's what they should do. The only way I think Michigan has any real chance in this game is if those 3 monsters in that front are disruptive. And Mason Graham is the guy who's going to get all of the love, but you've got 3 dudes who are going to get after you. And Oregon has done a great job of attacking great fronts. See Ohio State.
Yep.
But I think this is going to be a game where you don't play away from them, but you don't spend a ton of time going right at them, because as great as Oregon's offensive line has come together, those 3 guys are going to be NFL guys.
No, yeah, they are legit
two of them
run
are,
stoppers.
Yeah, two of them are day one NFL guys. And
Well-
you look at that and you go, yeah, look, we have to factor these guys in. Mason Graham is what, like, I remember during the USC game, one of the sideline reporters was like, how much do you weigh right now? He's like, I think I'm down a little bit. I think I'm down to like 320.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're 320 and
And he's-
moving like that?
And he's every bit as strong. The thing that's nice, though, for Oregon is guess who you go up against every single week? Not that ones and ones go up a ton against each other, but they do. You go up against Derek Harmon. That's going to be the closest thing to going up against
Pretty
Mason
good scout.
Graham. And I would say Graham's a little bit better than Harmon. That being said, there aren't many that are playing better than Harmon this year. When I look at this offense, you don't need to attack the middle of that Michigan defense. Go to the edges. If Will Johnson plays at corner, that's the only guy that worries me, and he's coming off a lower leg injury, right? So he's going to be dealing with, even if he's playing, he isn't going to be 100%, and he's going to be dealing with that injury trying to guard Tez Johnson and Evan Stewart and Trayshawn Holden and Justice Lowe. I don't think that he's going to be able to do that. It seems like you're going to get Terrence Ferguson back in this game. He is a matchup nightmare, and I think you are going to see Oregon attack the edges. Michigan is at their strongest when they are up the middle. What Will Stein does a great job of is getting the ball out of his quarterback's hands quickly and getting it to the edges where he has his playmakers make plays in space. I think you are going to see a big game from the wide receiver group, and it's hard to say big game for Tez Johnson because every game from that guy is a big game. He has 6 to 10 catches every game. He has anywhere from 60 to 100 yards every single game. He's always around the end zone if he doesn't get in. But for a guy like Evan Stewart, I think you're going to see big plays. It feels like when Evan Stewart plays, it's a feast or famine type of game. It's either an Ohio State game where he has, 8 catches, 150 yards and a touchdown, or he has 2 catches and maybe only 30. This is going to be a feast game for him because they don't have the secondary that can keep up with the Oregon skill players on the outside. And then once Michigan has to start spending more and moving more people to the edges, that's when you hit him with Jordan James and that rushing attack. And again, you're still going to be doing a lot of runs off tackle.
Yep.
But Jordan James and Noah Whittington have arrived this year. Jordan James is the feature back. He's running through people. And after last week, I think that's the first time that Noah Whittington looked like he did last year.
Coming back up
knee
the
injury.
Yeah. According to PFF, Michigan's defensive line has the highest graded line in college football at 92.1. They lead the nation in pass rush grade, and they're tied for second in run defense. This is not a, pin your ears back, pass rush, and they're soft in the middle. Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham are good. They're currently both projected top 10 picks.
They're a middle out defensive line. They are a middle out D line, and those guys are a problem. And they can get after the passer.
Yes.
I mean, they got after
Again,
USC.
This is the best pass rush in the country. So
from the
again,
middle,
from
the middle,
yes,
from the middle.
Well, in general, they're the highest graded pass rush in the country according to PFF. If you're looking for the how Oregon is looked at, as of right now, their tackle duos are the 23rd best tackle duo in the country in Cornelius and Connerly. That's pretty damn good. On the interior, though, they are 110th in the country.
I would be interested to see how much of that is skewed from the first 2 weeks.
Well, it's only taking Laulu, Harper, and Strother. It's just those 3 guys.
It's just those 3. Okay,
so it's not. So it's factoring out.
Because if you had Pickard in there, that's where I would have to have a conversation.
He would drop the grade pretty hefty. Yeah,
and
because he
not attacking the kid. He
got work.
He struggled putting. The center makes all the line calls, which puts the offensive lineman in the correct positions. He struggled doing that, and that's why there were a lot of losses from that O-line group. I think what Oregon, you're going to see a lot of bubble, tunnel screens, a lot of RPO, and just trying to take what Michigan is giving them. And the more that they can attack the edges, they have better athletes. They just flat out do. Oregon has better athletes than Michigan. And I can't believe that we're getting to say that because you've never really gotten to say that. Even the year that you win with Dennis Dixon's team, you didn't have better athletes.
Smoke and mirrors there.
necessarily.
You little 2 Statue of Liberty plays.
I mean, you had one better athlete, and he was at the quarterback position,
and you took
he
advantage
should
of
have
it.
been a Heisman that year if he doesn't get hurt.
So
that's how good that team was.
Currently, the spread, I believe, is adjusted now. Is it down to 13.5? I just checked a second
I
ago.
was going to say, I got it at 14.5.
14.5. So it is at 14.5. And I think this is closer than the Illinois game. And it really comes down to if Michigan's going to be in it, it's because Will Johnson, number one, plays and he just takes away a side of the field. And Michigan is disruptive, and they get a pick six or they get a strip sack, scoop and score. They're going to need points from their defense or from their special teams. Samaj Morgan on a punt return. Like, if they do that, then Michigan might be frisky. But this isn't an easy game for Oregon, but it is one that they probably should salt away relatively soon and not get too cute with it.
If Oregon does what they did against Illinois, which was score early, that this game will be over because this Michigan team is a worse version of that Illinois team. Illinois had some semblance of a pass game, not necessarily against Oregon, but against the other schools that they have played so far this year. This Michigan team doesn't. If Oregon can get up 2 scores in the first quarter or early in the second quarter, Michigan is going to have to start throwing the ball. And that's exactly where Oregon wants them because they are going to be able to get after the passer and get sacks on the quarterback. And that's going to force quicker throws from the quarterback later on in the game. And that's going to lead to more opportunities for turnovers, specifically interceptions. If Oregon can get up early, which I think they have the ability to do, you might be looking at a very boring third and fourth quarter because Oregon is just trying to run out the clock, which is what they've shown that they will do when they get up big against teams like this. It's the same thing that they did against Michigan State. It's the same thing that they did against Illinois. It's the same thing they did against Purdue.
Take care of it,
we
put it
are
away, move
up,
on to the next.
We're up big. Let's get out of here. We don't need style
Run
points.
ball, get out healthy.
Exactly. So for Oregon, attack the edges, get up big early. That's going to force Michigan to have to throw the ball, and they can't do it.
There you go. That's your Ducks Wolverines preview edition here as the Ducks get ready to take on Michigan in the Big House. Coming up next, we'll get back to the NBA for a little bit. What have you seen from the Portland Trailblazers in the first 5 games that could be described as development? Danny and Dusty, 10 of the Fan.
Who's number 1?
The Portland Trailblazers are 2-3 through the first 5 games. They take on the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight at Moda Center. Oh boy, I haven't even looked at the spread of that game yet.
It's not going to be good for you, bud.
In fact, let's take a look at that real quick because I want to have an idea of how what
11.5.
That's actually
11.5.
That's less than I thought it was going to be.
Should I hammer the Thunder?
I mean, I think they'll cover that. If I'm being honest. But beyond the wins and losses, there's been some trends that have popped up with the Trailblazers through the first 5 games. Number one, outside of the Warriors game, which it sucked and blew at the same time, it was terrible. They have played an entertaining brand of basketball. They have gotten up and down the court. They have been aggressive. They have been physical. They have been defensive-minded. They have been opportunistic and disruptive. They're getting out in transition and getting dunks. Like there's lobs. It's an exciting, more physical brand of basketball. But I think there's also a couple of things that are more tangible. The thing that I hear most often is in a win or a loss, like, they didn't see any development tonight. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. Okay. So development does not occur on a nightly basis. You see, like, a lot of it happens behind the scenes, and then you see after weeks and months of practice and working on things that one play, and it may not even show in the box score.
Are you trying to tell me that growth isn't always linear?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
First I've learned this.
I know. But I've seen a lot of, and look, I'm not like pro Chauncey. I'm just not anti Chauncey in the sense of, I think he's done a decent job of helping guys develop. Anthony Simons has said multiple times that Chauncey Billups saved his career. Toumani Camara has taken another step. And I think along that same line, you've seen Chris Murray. You've seen Ryan Rupert in these first 5 games. You've seen Scoot Henderson. All show growth. And everybody wants, a young player to have a growth aspect like Victor Wembanyama or like Chet Holmgren after his, sabbatical, injury year coming into year 2. Like, oh my God, look, it's like
his year abroad.
Yeah, when you have, like, Blake Griffin did the same thing, and Ben Simmons too. Like, when you have that, when you get that redshirt year, like, you learn so much, and when you hit the ground, you look less like a rookie. And I think Scoot Henderson this year, and I said this before, I think with Scoot, what you are seeing right now is, had this first 5 games been how he started his first 5 games last year, people would look at him very differently. And I'm not saying he's had the best 5 games to start the season. He's shooting under 30% from 3. He's not lighting things up from the field in general. He's been a little careless with some turnovers, but that's because he's a 20-year-old point guard who doesn't have a ton of experience.
Right.
But you've seen bright moments. You've seen him finish at the rim. You've seen him drive aggressively and dunk. You've seen him create for others. You've seen him make some defensive plays. Like, there's just been like, oh, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
And they've seen those markers, I think, for a lot of these guys. And I think that's kind of what the big thing. If you want to go like numbers-wise, like the big thing is that they want to be bigger, stronger, longer, more disruptive, more defensively oriented. The team building philosophy that Joe Cronin, Mike Schmitz, Sergei Oliva, Andre Patterson, the front office have had is, hey, let's take chances on guys that are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", who have defensive acumen, who have physical tools, and then let's figure out if they can shoot. Because shooting is the thing, and this is, I've talked to God knows how many NBA development guys who I'm like, what's the easiest thing to develop? Shooting. And it's not that it's easy, it's the easiest thing.
Are they doing this because they've learned the lesson from the previous regime?
Yes.
Because when you talk about the previous regime, it's like, hey, man, they all can shoot.
None of them can defend,
they're
none of them
all
had size.
Undersized, not super fast, got to slow the game down.
What do we talk about Joel Embiid? How rare it is to find people with that size. Like, we talk about you being 6'5" alone. Like, you are in a small percentage of people on the planet.
Yeah, very special.
And the bigger you get, the harder that is to find. It's a market it's a market efficiency. Mm-hmm. Finding players with size first is a more difficult thing to do. And so when you go down that path and you've got Toumani Camara, you've got Chris Murray, and you've got Ryan Rupert, I think you start to see like, oh, and that doesn't even count Denny Avdia.
That guy's awesome. I like that guy.
I think he's started out poorly shooting in the field, but I genuinely think he's going to start figuring some stuff out on the offensive end. But you saw Ryan Rupert. He was probably the reason the Trailblazers beat the Clippers the other night. It was a short little spurt, but 7 points in was like a minute 30. He was incredibly effective. And if you watch that Ryan Rupert and you compared him to last year, that's a different player. And I'm not saying he's out there looking like Jaylen Brown, but he's looking like a functional NBA player. You're seeing that linear development when you talk about growth over a year. That's what you're talking about. It's like you want to see that trend line. Look, some nights, like if you've ever seen any trend lines, you have the trend line that looks linear, but you've got spark points above and below it, some much higher, some much lower.
Hey,
But-
I get it. I just got into the stock market. It's
See, there
the
you go.
exact same
Yes.
thing. Like, I got upset 3 months ago where it's like, I just lost $100. What just happened? And then it's like, oh, here's your year to date, Will. And it's like, oh, it is growing.
It's
And
like, oh,
that's
I'm
what
up.
you want
Yeah.
out of the Blazers.
And that's a perfect way to look at it as a stock market. If you look at it in the day-to-day and the micro, unless you're day trading, it doesn't do you any good.
Right.
You're looking at things over the long haul, and I think that's been a big thing. For the Trailblazers, defensively, and this is kind of the counting stats that I think have been different for this team. They're currently 7th in blocks, 16th in steals. That's a plus mark. That
I
means
like
that means they're a top 10 team in blocks, which Donovan Clingan, big part of that. But you also get Tumani Kamara in on that. You still get DeAndre Ayton in on that. Denny Avdia, and like they're bigger, stronger, longer, more impactful. They're 16th in steals. So they're almost in the top half in steals, and they're in the top 10 in blocks. Those are promising numbers.
You're getting better defensively, which is a big complaint that a lot of people had.
Yes, and I think they're functional on that end. The another one is they want to play faster. They're not playing 7 seconds or less or 6 seconds or less Suns. Like they're 17th in pace. That's still faster. Again, it's an improvement. The offensive glass, they're 5th in the league in offensive rebounding. They've figured out we're not a good shooting team. How can we supplement that? Well, if we just pummel teams on the offensive glass, we can create extra opportunities. DeAndre Ayton, his first 2 years in the league with the Phoenix Suns, he was in the 80th percentile as an offensive rebounder. He's fallen off in the last couple of years, and this year he's back to hitting the offensive glass.
Well, and then Clingan, right?
Yes, even in his limited minutes, he has been an absolute monster on the offensive
So
glass.
that's the biggest thing for me then, because like you brought in Donovan Clingan, like man, DeAndre Ayton is awesome. That like I'm excited about how he's playing. He played great at the end of the season last year. He looked more like the Ayton that everyone thought he could be coming out of high school or not. Well, out of college too. But when I think about these Blazers, I think about the core three, at least the three in my mind. And that's Scoot, Clingan, Sharp.
Mhm.
Sharp's injured right now, so you're not going to see anything from him. So what type of growth for the team as a whole can I see from the youngins? And then what type of growth can I see from the youngins over the long haul? And to me, I think that's why I was so high on Donovan Clingan, not just because he's so tall, but because he does a lot of things that the Blazers didn't have previously. He gets after offensive rebounds. He plays good defense. He gets a lot of blocks. And when he doesn't get a block, he affects the shot. And then you even talked about Ryan Rupert having a big, functional 8 minutes. Donovan Clingan probably hit your biggest shot of that game.
the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again,
He is dead tired at the end of his rotation.
Puffin. He didn't
And
want to
he
go to
hit
the
it.
rim. He didn't want to do nothing. He was like, I'm going to stop right here at this 3-point line.
And he hit it.
Took his time, gathered it, knocked it down. But again, you're talking about
And that's what
guys
I wanna see.
showing a little bit of growth. For in case those are wondering, the number one offensive rebound rate among bigs right now belongs to the Hornets' Nick Richards, who's at 15.4%. He qualifies because he's played 121 total minutes. Clingan has only played 60 total minutes, so half the minutes.
Mhm.
Clingan has a 3% better rate. He would be number one in the NBA
That's
in
awesome.
offensive rebound at 18.2%.
Love that.
But you also have Tumani Kamara, who's the 93rd percentile, and DeAndre Ayton is the 67th percentile. So you're starting to see, like, this is what I'm talking about when you have to kind of look and squint for the wins, as it were, in development. They do not care about wins and losses. For everybody's like, oh, they've won too many games, because right now at 2 wins, they're nearly at 10% of the way to their win total, 21.5.
That's so funny to think about.
Yes, but a 400 winning percentage is not ideal for this season.
But you take a look at it, and I just want to do this real quick. I didn't have this ready, but
Capture the flag.
yeah, I'm not tremendously worried about that, and this is why. Okay, here's what's coming up for you. You have Oklahoma City tonight, then you go on the road in a back-to-back against Phoenix, New Orleans, San Antonio, Minnesota. Okay, what games are they winning there? Maybe the Pels game, because the Pels
San
are missing
Antonio.
everyone. I don't know, man. Do they have an answer for? I mean, Chris Paul, no matter who he's played for, has been a thorn in Portland's side, no matter what age he is. And it's like he just finds a way to wizard something out, and Wemby's going to be a problem. We'll talk about Wemby here at some point tonight because he was ridiculous last night. But then after you come home, here's who you have at home. After playing Minnesota on the road, you come home and you play the Memphis Grizzlies and then the Minnesota Timberwolves back to back. Okay. Then the Atlanta Hawks, and then you go out on the road and you play the Thunder, the Rockets, and back to back. Then the Grizzlies again. Then the Pacers, Kings, Mavericks. How many games are you winning in this stretch of 12 games? One?
You might get one or two. You might get one or two, just because it's the NBA and sometimes guys have off nights.
But I mean, you are just getting absolutely pummeled on the road. What would we have? 9 of their next 14 are on the road.
Good. These are things I like.
Against good teams. So everybody panicking about them winning too many games, chill.
I want lots of close losses. Like if they covered today, but lost by 6, awesome.
Look,
Scoot has a couple nice plays.
If you want me to draw it up,
a couple nice plays.
Look, the Pelicans game, it sucks for them to lose on basically like a last second shot, but be within 5 with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah,
and just not be able to kind of execute down the stretch because you don't have the scoring and the shooting. Like
100%, can get behind that.
And I think if organizationally, that's kind of what they would like to see.
No more Golden State losses. You can't lose by what 36.
Yeah,
that can't happen
those are
anymore.
Tough. Yeah, so you just don't want
close.
You just don't want to see those pile up.
The Sacramento loss. You lost by what? 11? No, bad at math. 13. You lost by 13.
Yeah, but that one was a little. It was a fake comeback. They made I think they closed 12 points in the fourth quarter, which
I'm okay
got
with
it right. Okay, I want to say it within 10. That's kind of where I would like to see it.
I'm okay with having a loss like that though if the 3 young guys, and I know right now it's 2 because Sharp is still out. If the 3 young guys are showing signs of improvement, or they're showing that they can do what I was told their strengths were at an elite level. Klingon is showing right now that he can do what his strengths are at an elite level. Now, I would expect that coming from a Hurley coach player. I would expect that from him. I really need to continue to see growth from Scoot.
Yep.
Less dumb turnovers.
Yes.
More smart shots, whether they go in or not.
Process matters more than anything
and
right
then
now.
Continue to find your teammates to get assists or the opportunity for assists.
Generate good shots.
That's what I'd like to see.
100%.
And then the rest of it's just kind of like, cool.
It's icing on the cake.
Right.
Coming up next time for our worst day on the web. And, I have plenty of reasons to not like Miami, but I think I found a new one. We'll get to that and more. But first, here's the Big Kuno Sports Center Update.
That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the number 1 Oregon Ducks in Ann Arbor facing Michigan tomorrow at the Big House. It's a 12:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Ducks are 14.5-point favorites. Our live coverage starts at 6 a.m. with the Center and the St. Tailgate Show. That's followed at 8 o'clock by Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony Newman. And then stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. Over in the NFL, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says Jordan Love, questionable Sunday against the Lions, and Bengals receiver T. Higgins and running back Zach Moss, both doubtful Sunday against the Raiders. On the hard court, the Trailblazers with a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder before a 4-game trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams III, all still out. The Blazers are 11.5-point dogs. After the Sixers were fined $100,000 on Tuesday for public comments about center Joel Embiid's health status. He is listed as out tomorrow against the Grizzlies, while Paul George is listed as a game-time decision. And in baseball, a couple of Mariners roster moves. They have declined the 2025 option on infielder Jorge Polanco, and infielder Luis Arias has cleared waivers and has elected free agency. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. Danny and Dusty. Weekdays noon to 3 on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
I'm
Dusty
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
Welcome to Miami, where our basketball reporters don't have a brain and you can get a BBL chair for a day.
What?
In Miami, you can rent a chair for your BBL, your Brazilian butt lift, for $20 a day. It is a chair that is made room in the back end. It's like a little bit of a padded wheelchair situation.
When you get a BBL, don't you have to like lay on your stomach for a long time?
This one's got like kind of like think of
Why
it like
not just get an inflatable one?
it's kind of like a toilet seat where the bottom drops out.
Why do they need a special chair?
So a hemorrhoid pillow.
Kind of, well, except for like the chair like opens up and allows like more room for the butt to fall through so you don't sit on it.
Okay.
Well, okay. Now, I understand that I'm not a scientist. Didn't do well in science classes. Kind of fumbled my way through those. But isn't your butt made for you to sit on it?
Look,
Isn't that what we're supposed to use our butt
the
for?
market will find a way. And there are currently on just the Facebook marketplace alone, there are 305 showcase BBL chairs for rent. One of them, $100 a day. Another all the way down to $15 a day. The one consistent thread that comes with all of them, there is a large butt-shaped hole or indentation smack dab in the middle of the seat.
Why? Why would you do this to yourself? Why?
What, the chair or the BBL?
Both. Why? Just squat.
Genetics.
So you can
some people
still
can't
get a
squat
butt.
Some people can't squat their way to a giant dumper.
Then throw in some hip thrusts. Like I have little calves. I just do calves 2 to 3 times a week.
And you still have little calves.
But they're strong though.
Do you think these people that are doing this want a strong butt, or do you think they want the look of that butt?
I think that they want instant gratification instead of earning what small butt they have.
They want that big juicy butt.
But like why?
Sir
Like-
Mix-a-Lot said so.
That's true. He is wise.
His anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon.
Yeah, I think I heard that in a Nicki Minaj song.
That's
too.
true. There's a guy in bodybuilding. His name's Goob, who
Goob.
yes, he
His mother named him that.
I don't know, but he calls out all of the influencers in the fitness industry that basically have the here's my workout plan for sale in bio kind of situation.
And which ones are fake and which ones aren't?
Well, no, they all have their workout plans, but the staggering majority of them that snatch in their waist and pull out their butt in editing. And I think it's like it has become a massive issue. It's insane like how common it is. Like if you ever just scrolled through IG or TikTok and just like seen how the background seems to warp behind them. It looks like there's a time dilation happening behind them.
I'm going to be honest. When I'm looking at my workout videos and my workout photos, I'm not really looking in the background. You know, I don't care whether it's a hot female or a hot dude. I'm just like, all right, that looks like that gets a great arm pump.
He must work out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Look
You
at
know.
the butt on that.
Look at the butt on that one.
He must work out.
Still one of my favorite.
Great movie.
It's
Great
one of
movie.
the best lines ever the first time you hear it. I remember the very first line just being like, I was like 14 when it came out. I was like,
My little cousin quotes it. My little cousin has never seen Dumb and Dumber. He's heard me and his dad and his uncle quote that line. I hear him quote it all the time.
Where the beer flows like wine and the women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano.
exactly.
It's a night. Pull over. No, it's a cardigan. Thanks for noticing.
Thanks for noticing. I want to say that the dark side of the BBL here, more than 20...
There's a light side?
Yeah, the more than 20 South Florida patients have died of complications from Brazilian butt lifts over the last 10 years.
Why do it?
And here's the other thing.
Why?
Great job by the Miami paper here. That hasn't stopped it from ballooning in popularity.
Why do it, dude? Why?
Bravo.
Why?
Bravo.
Just
Bravo.
is this like eventually it'll become like
Think about like
the other surgeries?
I don't want to demean these people that have died, but I'm going to. Can you imagine being the parents of this person who died from complications from an ass enlargement?
Well, you lost me when you said, "Can you imagine being a parent?" At that moment, I was like, "No."
Yeah, no, like it's terrifying.
That's
But like
ah.
you're doing the funeral preparations for your child who died trying to make their butt bigger by sucking fat out of their body and injecting it into their butt. I was ornery.
I think it's an open casket.
Maybe a little evil.
Would it be-
Do you think that maybe they take a page out of the BBL chair and like cut a hole in the
casket,
coffin
so that way everyone
so
can
the
see
butt
it?
can hang out the bottom? Okay, now I'm going to have
Now,
Is that the
we
funeral version of assless chaps?
Now
right?
we suck. Well, they wouldn't want to damage it. It's the whole reason they had the surgery.
Oh God.
I'm so I just maybe it's because I'm too cheap, but I don't understand why.
You
Like,
wouldn't if
I don't have a big butt.
Look, if
I'm not gonna get a
if you had
BBL.
all the money in the world right now, you wouldn't get calf implants.
No, not at all.
Mm.
Why would I do that? No one has ever walked by someone and been like, I was really into that guy until I saw his little calves. Guess what? They might be small,
You've also
but
never
they're
heard anybody say
muscular.
they're really into you.
I've never heard anyone be like, I wasn't into that dude till I saw his calves.
Well, it's because your calves aren't great.
And unfortunately for you, I continue to hear people say they're really into me. They usually compare me to Travis Kelce.
I bet you he's got great calves.
No, his aren't that big. I saw them today. I was judging them. Now, to be fair, they were under wraps because of, he had socks on.
So were you pulling his socks down and taking a peek? Like what are you?
They were on
Are you
Instagram. I was on
stalking?
Instagram. He pops up on my feed.
Travis Kelce.
Just
calf
watching my
fetish?
workout
Yeah.
videos, man.
No, it's just like, I don't know. It was something about him bragging about something on his last podcast.
Yeah, is that the equivalent of I read it for the articles?
Unbelievable.
Don't look at my Instagram feed. I don't have that excuse.
Yeah, look, Dusty and I's algorithms are off. I bet you yours and mine are way off.
My algorithm has been carefully cultivated
That's
over
the
years
problem.
and years.
Mine's a lot of, that's fun.
It's a lot of food, hots, football. A lot of football. A lot of big guy football jokes. Real big fan of lineman problems on Instagram.
Okay.
Quality follow. If you
Quality.
don't follow them,
Okay.
follow them.
All right.
And Paige Sporano.
That's the worst day on the web. I just want to take some shots at Miami and people who get BBLs.
Yeah, don't do that.
It's weird.
Like, just accept your body. Go to therapy, maybe.
My wife, look, I
don't know.
I would say I don't judge people on this stuff, but I do. I wholeheartedly I do. When you do, like, if you would like, do a little bit of work, I don't care. When it's so egregious that I can take my energy drink and put it on the back end, big butts matter. It's true. I do like me a nice big derriere. My wife and I are out at dinner. We were at Fogo de Chao, and this woman walked by. It looked like, I'm not kidding. Well, this big can of Clorox wipes, it looked like two of those stacked on the back end. It has been getting touched a ton. Yeah. My wife looked at me and just went,
I thought you weren't supposed to touch it. That was why the seat is that way.
"Are you kidding me?" And then immediately somebody else asked me, "Real or fake?" Take it in the back end. And it was so egregious because this person's waist was so tiny. You're like, there's no way. It's like, I don't get the look again. I like them thick. God,
Two C's or one C?
I got a lot of these.
Or do you throw a QU in there?
Backdoor action. If she's French. She's French, you put the QUE in then. But I don't get the giant fake
I just
wagon.
don't. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive and I just like, dude, just go to the gym.
Well, yes, I mean some people just can't get it.
I understand that, but like you can get the best version of what you have, and guess what? Not everyone is going to have everything. I would
have a
like
big
to have
backyard.
a flat stomach. It's probably not going to happen. I was 315 pounds. Probably going to be some excess skin there, but I can do my best to achieve the best that I can.
Coward.
And there's some respect in that. I'm a coward for doing crunches. The crunches at the crunch.
Yeah, exactly. It's the most insanely tight hole I've ever seen. Well,
What could you have possibly been talking about?
I don't even remember. Do you?
That was golf. Some golf talk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Were you playing at like a course that had smaller holes?
No, it's like following one of the majors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
kind of like the Masters where it's
Yeah.
real thin. Okay.
It was
real tight.
Very, very, very
Lots
tight.
of trees, lots
Yeah.
of foliage on
Yeah.
each side.
Yikes! Yeah. God, I have pages upon pages of drops. Good Lord.
It's actually okay to touch.
My God.
What could that have been about?
That one I don't know.
Yeah, let me be honest. That could have been
Not sure
anything.
about that.
There are like so many different ways that could have gone.
And probably none of them good. So
No, probably not.
All right, coming up next, I just wanted to have some fun with audio. I saw LaMarcus Aldridge appear with the on a podcast and talk about how he absolutely got torched by Tim Duncan. I just wanted to share it with you guys. We'll get to that and more here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Earlier this week, we had Austin Rivers, a clip from Austin Rivers. We didn't have Austin Rivers on here. Basically telling you, you're not good, you suck. You're never will stand up to a pro-level athlete. And he's right. He's 100% right. But they just went a step further when a likely Hall of Famer and LaMarcus Aldridge was on with the Knuckleheads, Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. And they basically asked him, LaMarcus, who was the first guy really busted your head? And LaMarcus went with the GOAT, Tim Duncan. Here's what he had to say.
Who was the first person in the league to bust your ass?
I've seen y'all ask people this. If you talking about in the game, Tim Duncan, man. That gave me
Big Funda.
that gave me
Mr.
like
Big Fundamentals.
gave me like 14 straight points and then hit me on the butt and said, "You gonna be okay?" I was like, "Man, don't text me, man." No. Now I remember the story. So he gets the back screen to the block. So I fight through all
Back
the
screen,
screens.
baseline.
Yeah. I fight through all the screens and I beat him there. I'm waiting for him. Yeah, you ain't going nowhere. Boom, bump me, right hand. Okay, cool, come back. Same play again. This time he spins to the baseline, that little one-handed, like little flip shot. I'm like, okay. Yeah, it's like, okay, that's 4. So then they keep running it again. 8, 10, 12, and then timeout. I come to the side, I'm like, "Nate, are you gonna help me?" He's like, "Hey, you can't stop." I'm like, "What? Like, let's double team." He's like, "You smart. Like, if we double him,
So let's jump him.
Yeah.
Let's jump him.
Straight up.
So he's like, if we double him, it's gonna be 3s. If you get your ass busted, it's just 2s. I'm like, but this is embarrassing. Like, we got 12 straight points on you. Like, you want some help?
Didn't say nothing the whole game.
No, he was encouraging me the whole game. Keep trying. You got this. You got this.
That last part is what I love there. The levels in professional sports, when you're talking about greatness. I love Brian Scalabrine because he will lace him up at 24-Hour Fitness and give every little punk that work and then laugh at them. Laugh at them endlessly. Like, brother, I was an end of the bench dude. I'm a jag. I'm just another guy in the NBA.
And out here cooking you.
And I am out here.
Might
You
not
can't
even been a jag.
You know what I mean? Like
Jag minus.
Look, but I mean, in college, Scalabrine got that work at SC. He was a dude, right?
Had to be.
And here's the thing: this is LaMarcus Aldridge, who is likely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan fried him for 14 straight points on the same play.
That was also young LaMarcus,
Again,
to be fair.
Yes, but this
be
is
fair.
again, we're talking about LaMarcus Aldridge, who is Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, 7 foot tall, crazy wingspan, very athletic, gifted defensive player, strong, athletic, long, rangy, and Tim Duncan is not playing above the rim. He's not 7'5" Victor Wembanyama. He's not hezzy tween shooting over the top like Kevin Durant. This is the big fundamental. Drop step, baby hook. Spin, middle, up, under, finish. Just running the same play and doing it a different way. And it just shows you the levels of greatness in professional sports, particularly in basketball, where you've got LaMarcus who, again,
pretty good.
And I take this as a way to like apply it to the current Trailblazers. What they are now is not what they're going to be when they're in their prime. LaMarcus Aldridge, when he's older, probably does well against Tim there, but Tim is still going to get him. Why? Because Tim Duncan's one of the 5 greatest players of all time. And I think we get lost and we skew good versus great and great versus all time. And if you're not an all-time player, somehow you suck.
Yeah, but I mean that is every sport though.
Oh, I know. I'm not talking about it's only in
Like
basketball.
we talk about Kirk Cousins being horrible,
And it's like-
equating it to football, and it's like Kirk Cousins is pretty good. People forget Matt Stafford's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yes. He's Super Bowl champion. His
good.
yards numbers when he's all said and done, if he's not already
I
top
think
10,
he's going to be top 5.
Yeah, his
He's
numbers,
top 10
yeah,
already.
his
He
numbers
is
are
top 10.
insane.
Yeah.
So, and it's because we have Mahomes and we have Brady and we have Rodgers and we have Manning, we have Breeze,
You have Duncan, you have Kobe,
Yeah.
LeBron.
and it's it skews what greatness is, and I think that's something that kind of gets lost in all this. I love it when a great player like LaMarcus Aldridge is like, yeah, no, my welcome to the NBA moment was Tim Duncan scoring 14 straight on me and me begging my head coach for a double team because there was nothing I could do about it.
My favorite one, because this one reminds me of my favorite one. It's the Iman Shumpert versus Kobe, where he's talking about it, and he's like, Kobe had 12 at going into the
And I'm
fourth.
talking all this trash.
And Kobe walks up to Iman Shumpert and is like, "You had a good game, fella."
Yeah.
And then he drops like 40 or
In-
whatever
yeah, in
it
the
was
fourth.
the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And
in the second half.
Because I think it was all during the Linsanity
Mhm.
movement. Because I think the Knicks still end up winning that game because of what Linsanity was doing.
But
and-
Kobe just fried him.
Yeah, and he literally went to Iman Shumpert and was like, "Just so you know, you had a good game." And then he like threw the ball off the glass, dunked it, and Iman was like, "What?"
I think we all know the true GOAT of the NBA trash talk. And that is Larry Legend before
God,
the
yes.
3-point contest.
Who's
When he
gonna
walks
finish
in the
second?
locker room, walks in the locker room and says, "Which one of you MFers is coming in second?"
I like
And then he goes out, didn't even take off his warm-up. jacket and torched everybody.
I mean, one of his greatest moments in his career, as far as trash talking, is him scoring 42 against the Trailblazers with his left hand because he was saving his right for Magic and the Lakers on the next night.
That's so funny.
That is, to me, that is the goatest of goat stories I've ever heard.
There's a reason why his nickname was Larry Legend.
To cook another team
with your
offhand and get a 40 piece. And again, the Blazers weren't they weren't this year's Washington Wizards. They were a functional team, but he thought so little of you that he gave you that work with his offhand because he wanted to save his right for Magic.
He didn't go out there and cook you with his wife. He cooked you with his side piece.
Good Lord.
I do get great joy, too, out of him getting mad at Charles Barkley when they'd have Dan Marley guard him. And he'd be
You're
like,
gonna put the white boy on me?
This is disrespectful to me. Why are you disrespecting me this way?
The white guy saying you're going to guard me with the white guy? How
Very
dare
funny.
you?
Or the MJ one where he goes to Byron Scott. They're playing the Lakers. Who's guarding me today, Byron? Oh, that guy is 50.
And then to do it. And then that was the thing is
awesome.
he didn't just
That's
talk
awesome.
it. He talked it before the game. Then he dog walked you and then he patted you on the butt
50.
afterwards and said, "Nice job, young fella."
50. My favorite part of that is Tim Duncan's like, "Don't worry, dude, you'll get there."
You'll get just doing it with a smile on his face.
Hey, man, you're right there. You got this. I'm rooting for you.
That's
Is
the
that
trash
worse?
talk. It's the
That's
trash
so
talk
much
equivalent of the hair tussle.
Right?
That is so
like, oh, that's
much
so cute,
worse.
little guy.
That is so much worse than Tim Duncan hitting a shot and then being like, "LaMarcus, you suck. You're trash. You're
Kevin
garbage." Just
Garnett
being
getting
like,
down on all
"You'll
fours
get
and
there."
barking at Jared Bayless irritated me to no. Oh no, he literally got down on all fours and barked at Jared Bayless in a game. I was like, "Are you rookie Jared Bayless?" I'm like, "What is this?" That is less disrespectful than Tim Duncan patting LaMarcus on the butt as he walked by. Like, good for you.
You were right there.
You almost got me. Hey, better luck next time, young fella.
You almost had it.
Because that's just
You've got to be quicker than that.
I'm at my athletic peak, and there's nothing I can do with this. So it's just an insane thing. All right, it is Football Friday, so we're going to pivot back to football here in hour number 3. There are actually some pretty decent games on the NFL schedule this weekend, and the way I want to look at this is who needs it more? I got a handful of teams and a handful of games for us to go through and ask who needs a win more. In hour number 3 on Dan and Dusty, today the Fan.
I'm Michael Jenkins helping you beat the books with BetQL.
are 14.5-point favorites. Our coverage here on The Fan starts at 6 a.m. with the Center and the Saint Tailgate Show. Ducks Game Day follows that at 8 o'clock with Dirt Dusty and Anthony Newman, and then stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. In the NFL, Bengals receiver T. Higgins and running back Zach Moss both doubtful Sunday against the Raiders. The Seahawks have ruled out wide receiver DK Metcalf Sunday against the Rams due to his knee injury. Trailblazers with a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder before a 4-game trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams III, all are still out. The Blazers are 11.5-point dogs. And some Mariners roster moves. They've declined the 2025 option on infielder Jorge Polanco, and infielder Luis Arias has cleared waivers and has elected free agency. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. It's Football Friday on The Fan.
Block somebody!
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Football Friday with Danny and Dusty on 1080.
Take the fight to them.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty on a Football Friday. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful, wonderful Football Friday. And I'm going to change gears here a little bit as opposed to just previewing some NFL games. But I got 4 games in a who needs it more scenario. And I think these are all games that I think you're looking at as potential playoff teams, whether they are a favorite, a team trying to pull themselves up by their proverbial bootstraps, or a team that maybe needs to make sure they get right so they can keep pace with everyone else. Let's start at the top of the NFC. You have a massive, massive, massive game in the NFC North. The Detroit Lions have already beaten the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
They are the cream of the crop, and I think you could pretty handily say they are the best team in the NFC, and they're probably the second best team in football, and I can hear an argument for them being the best team in football. But they're taking on a Green Bay Packer team that is going to be without Jordan Love. They're going to run Malik Willis out there, and they're dinged up a little bit elsewhere. However, they have established themselves a bit of an identity running the ball and being defensive disruptors. Their secondary...
Just a quick heads up. Earlier today, LaFleur came out and said that Jordan Love is questionable.
Oh, okay. Question.
Yeah.
So the guy that has a damaged MCL and a pulled groin is questionable.
Yes.
Against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, that's
the team that everybody gets
I would
physically
expect to see a lot of Willis.
beat to hell so badly that it impacts them the next week on
I'm
their
just
schedule.
telling you what the newsmen say.
I
Gotta
just-
listen to them. They have suits.
Yes. Also, last night, I believe it was Pelissero. I think I was hinting very strongly that it was going to be Willis. So, but look, if they drag out the corpse of Jordan Love to play against that Lions team, go with God, because that Lions team does beat the hell out of you.
Yep.
But you take a look at where things are. Who is it for you more important for? Who needs this win more? The Lions or the Packers?
Especially if it's Willis, it's the Lions. If the Packers run out Willis or an injured Jordan Love and you lose this game, and it's the reason why the Lions aren't the 1 seed, or it's the reason why week 15, 16, and 17
You're
you
chasing
are
it.
fighting for your not playoff life, but your home field advantage life. It's because of this game, and you'll look back at it the same way that Mariner fans look back at that Royals lead that they blew, where they were up like 8-0 and they lose the game 10-8 and they miss out on the playoffs by 1 game to the Kansas City Royals. This is a game, if you are a Lions fan, you need to win because you're on the road. You only have 3 games this year where you're not in a dome, and this is your first one. If you can find a way to win this game and continue to win at the pace that you have been winning at, you are going to get home field advantage and never have to leave the friendly confines until the Super Bowl. You need to win this game with how hurt Green Bay is. This one means more to Detroit for me.
That to me is the biggest game on the football slate this weekend. It's a battle in the NFC North for NFC North supremacy. Unfortunately, it gets knocked down because Jordan Love is very likely not playing. But you also have the one of the other NFC North teams in a team that has not yet won on the road. 0-3. The Chicago Bears head to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. They need to keep pace, and if they want to end up being one of those wild card teams, I look at this game and go, this is a game the Bears have to win. They have struggled mightily on the road, 14 points a game on the road so far this season as opposed to the 30 they score at home. I don't know if it's that they can't travel or if it's a situation of some unforeseen circumstances in some road matchups. Whatever it is, they need to fix the voodoo that they don't do so well. The Cardinals are a team who you can very easily look at this and go, if the Cardinals win, they're
in first, I believe.
First, yeah, no, they're 4-4. So they would be at the top of the NFC West, barring any other wins in the division. We'll get to the Rams here in a second, who are playing the Seahawks in a divisional game.
Yep.
The Rams are 3-4, so they need to get the win to catch up. But you take a look at this Bears or Cardinals team. The Cardinals, you look at, I think the Bears, they have to win to keep pace. But if you're the Cardinals, this is a game where, hey, this might be a situation where 9-8 gets you a playoff or a division title.
Win, yeah. It's going to be the Bears for me, and here is why. Their next upcoming games, they are 4-3 right now. You play the Cardinals, then you play the Patriots. Then you play Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, San Francisco, Minnesota, Detroit, Seattle, Green Bay. They still have all of their NFC North games to go. You are going to be lucky, barring injuries, to get 2 wins out of those games. Then your other games that are not in the North, it's Seattle, who is frisky at minimum, and it's San Francisco, who at that point, everyone will probably be back, and they will be fighting for their playoff lives. You have to win this game, and you have to win your next game against the Patriots to even have a consideration at possibly being a playoff team. To me, it means more for the Bears to win this one because I think that the Cardinals are going to have more winnable games later on in the year than the Bears will if they want to make the playoffs.
100%. And you take a look at where this Bears team is. They're probably, I think the Bears and the Commanders are both in their own vein, ahead of where they maybe had hoped or planned to be. I don't expect the Bears to make the playoffs, but if you want to be a team that's going to compete for that potential spot, that's a spot you got to go. The divisional matchup, the Rams and the Seahawks, I think you can make an argument very distinctly for either team. The Seahawks have been stinky.
They've had moments of
ineptitude.
It's been rough at times.
Meanwhile,
this past week they were dog poo.
Yeah,
it was bad.
And you take a look at the Rams, and it feels like the Rams have punched above their weight. With all of the injuries they've suffered, the retirement of Aaron Donald, you just take a look at them and you go, they're 3-4 and they're still there. Now you've got Puka Nacua, who's dinged up. He got hurt in practice yesterday. Thankfully avoided the
IR,
the dangerous injury list, as it were. But have they ruled him out? I thought I think he was listed as doubtful, right?
Doubtful or questionable is what I saw.
Look, Puka Nacua came off IR and then played the next day last week and was phenomenal. So am I going to say he's not going to go this weekend? No, because he's a dude. But you take a look at this matchup, and again, this is the division. Everybody's 4-4 except for the Rams, who are sitting at 3-4. The Rams need this win because they've already had their bye period to keep pace with everyone else. The Seahawks need this win because they desperately need a win.
Mm-hmm.
They started the season out
3-0.
Not even just promising, they looked good.
Yeah.
And now is it a case of, they just came out of the gate with better cohesion and more consistency because there wasn't a lot of turnover despite installing a new coaching staff? Is this a case of some injuries are piling up? DK's been dinged up. Their offensive line has been dinged up. Their secondary has been dinged up. Is that, is it a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B? I don't know. All I know is this division is just, it is the most in the mud division in the NFL. It's not bad, but as sure as hell ain't good.
It's very similar. It's a slightly better version of Pete Carroll's first year as the Seahawks head coach and what that West division was like. Remember, Pete Carroll's first year as the Seahawks head coach, they won the division at 7-9. Now, they did go on and win a playoff game.
Jeff
Thank
Fisher,
you.
very proud of that record.
Beastquake. Some of it, too, with the Seahawks is you played Bo Nix in his first ever NFL game. You played the Patriots, who are horrific, and they're worse with Brissett than they are with Drake May, and you played them with Brissett. And then you played the Dolphins right after Tua had his concussion. You got the worst version of the Dolphins. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, you're on the road. That's a team that's probably going to win the NFC South. That looks like a good win. But all your other losses, Lions, really good team. 49ers, really good team. Bills, really good team, right? Giants loss, that's a bit of an anomaly, but it's the same thing as the Falcons win. So you pretty much have won every game that you were supposed to win, save one, and you've lost every game you were supposed to lose, save one. When I look at this Rams game, it's your last game before you go on a bye week, and then you have a gauntlet of a schedule a little bit as well. You still have to play the 49ers again. You still have to play the Cardinals twice, and they're frisky. And all of a sudden, the Jets might be decent now. You're going to have to play them.
See, look at you talking yourself into it already.
Well, let me just get through this point that I'm trying to make. But you have to go through your NFC North gauntlet as well. You play the Packers, Vikings, and Bears in succession, and they are all above 500. If you are the Seattle Seahawks, I wouldn't say that it's a bad season if you don't make the playoffs, but you need to be in the conversation. You are not a bad team to the point of you should be tanking a la the Patriots, but you are not a good enough team to where the playoffs are a for sure thing. You should be a team that either barely makes it in as a 6 or a 7 seed or barely misses out at an 8 or a 9 seed. If you lose this game to LA, I think that knocks you down from an 8 or a 9 seeded team that just misses out closer to a 10 or 11. And that's where you can see this season go completely off the rails. And then how good of a coach, how good has this staff truly been? And they have clear flaws right now. That offensive line is bad, and they are not running the football well. And with Charbonnet and with K9, you should be able to run the ball better than what they are doing. So Seattle needs this one, to me, more than the Rams.
That's fair. I'll give you that one. I don't think the Rams are a team that should be chasing things, and it looks like they are a team that should be dumping.
I would agree with
at
that.
the deadline. Whether or not that means, they make Matthew Stafford available or Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp or whatever, I don't think they'll go to those lengths. But it's one of those situations where it feels like they're playing with house money, where Seattle should be doing a lot better with what they have in hand.
I agree. Seattle should be rising. LA should be falling.
Yes,
just based on
as far as how they're building towards things.
Yes.
And the last matchup here is again, I think it's poignant that all of the games that I picked featured NFC North teams, because this is a very important week for them, because they all need to keep pace and they all have games of interest. Obviously, the Lions and Packers are playing each other. The Bears or Cardinals have their own divisional issues to worry about. Colts and Vikings. The Vikings are a team that have started to slow down, and I think they're a little reminiscent perhaps of the Texans, coming out of the gate very hot, but some very unfortunate injuries all out to your offensive line have led to some issues, and maybe some more additional tape getting out on schemes and your quarterback and what you're trying to do the second time around is maybe being a bit more disruptive to what they're trying to accomplish. Meanwhile, the Colts have abandoned their rookie draft pick quarterback last year in favor of a veteran, because they look around at their division and they go, why not us? And I don't know if this is a case of the why not us of the Colts or the Vikings trying to keep pace with the Packers and Lions. Which one kind of carries more edge?
To me, it's the Colts. You made a move that you said, Anthony Richardson is not our guy. Because when you bench him in this situation, in this spot, I think you're done with him. It's what Carolina did with Bryce Love. Obviously, they're going back to Bryce Love. Bryce Love will not be the quarterback. Sorry. Bryce Young will not be the quarterback.
Bryce Love might be like a good little combination.
They don't love Bryce Young.
No.
They don't love Bryce Young. And what they want to do is they want to move on from him. And that is the same thing that is happening in Indianapolis. They have made the decision to move on from Anthony Richardson. You cannot make the decision to move on from Anthony Richardson, bring in Joe Flacco, and then have Joe Flacco lay an egg. You have to win this football game, because if you don't, now everyone is going to start questioning you why you gave up on your young quarterback so soon. Because at this point, he hasn't even really had, 10 games? He hasn't even played in 10 games as an NFL starter, and you're already passing on him. You have to win. If you are going to make the decision to go to Joe Flacco, not only do you have to win this game, you have to go to the playoffs, because you have made it clear that you are moving on. And if you are moving on, you need to find success, because if you do not, and you are not in the playoffs, you wasted trying to figure out if Anthony Richardson could be the guy, or you're the team that failed to develop your top 5 quarterback pick and are already making another rookie quarterback draft in May, right? You have to win this game.
Dun, 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 dun. Speaking of games that have to be won, is there a must-win for 2 Big Ten teams? We'll get to that more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Quick little pivot here as we get a little hot route. The SEC has decided to put some teeth behind what so many have complained about, particularly as it pertains to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin and what they have done down there. They have taken what I think they've Chip Kelly'd this in the sense of the Oregon Ducks taking the blur offense to the edges of what could be attained in college football. Lane Kiffin said, "I can do that with faking injuries. I can take it to an extent."
Lame.
And he is not alone in this. Were they playing Alabama 2 weeks ago?
No, they were playing. Was that their LSU game?
It was LSU game. LSU player literally looked at the sideline and just dropped to the ground, and it was like, oh my God, sweet Jesus, what is happening here? It was so bad and so fake. And he's like, oh, I'm cramping. I taps to the inside of his leg, and it's like,
back out next.
Brother, we just saw, we saw them mouth to you, like, go down. It's like, what is happening here?
The one that's really bad is where they're trying to get their subs right, and they're not going to get the sub right, and so the coach shoves the kid.
That was the LSU,
and the kid just falls.
Yeah.
And then I'm hurt. It's ridiculous, man. I understand what you're doing.
You're gaming the system.
You're gaining an advantage because you're allowing your substitutions that you need, or, hey, they've gotten a couple first downs. We're going to slow everything down. It's Bush League. It is so Bush League to go out there and fake an injury, fake like you're hurt, play the game the right way. And I don't like being a play the game the right way because usually that's an old guy. And that's a guy who's like, hold on to the football while you cross the goal line. Make sure that you hand it to the ref. Don't have any fun.
This makes all the Oregon fans who are like, Dan Lanning is a genius, but also, why are they changing the rule? And it's like, it makes you kind of take a step back. Like, guys, it's just not good for the game.
This is not good for the game because what people can do is sit there and
taking advantage of situations that are not supposed to be taken advantage of.
Right.
But whether it's the offense or the defense, you're inherently taking a rule and twisting it to gain an advantage that you should not gain because you are not the party that is being disadvantaged.
When a casual fan can watch a game with me, look at a guy fall down on the ground,
go, what the hell?
Fake like he's injured, and go, well, that doesn't seem fair because he's right there again. He's back in. That tells me that you are doing something that shouldn't be a part of the game. You're not doing something innovative. It's not the blur offense.
No.
It's not going
fast. It's just taking something to the extreme and wrinkling every last ounce out of something. And to that point, this was 3 weeks ago. Ole Miss had 29 stoppages due to injury in the last 3 games against Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
Okay, and I believe that total is actually 63 in total over
for the year
for that period. Yes, which is insane.
It's ridiculous, man.
That is absolutely insane.
It's garbage.
And now the SEC has put out, according to Commissioner Greg Sankey, SEC coaches and ADs have been notified as plainly as it can be stated to stop any and all activities related to faking injuries. It is not just, hey, stop it. It's, hey, stop it. Or your coach will be fined $50,000 for the first violation, $100,000 for the second violation, and for the third violation, they will be suspended.
Good.
It is
good.
It's not fans complaining. It's not even the casual fan complaining. It's not other teams complaining. You know who's complaining? The TV networks. They are complaining and going,
and other coaches.
Guys, that doesn't matter because other coaches are going to do it too, and they're going to take advantage of it the second they can. This is the money. You're screwing with the money. Like, well, what do you mean? That's TV timeouts. Yeah, you know what happens when an injured guy hits the field and the commercial hits? Everybody's like, oh, he's injured. I'm walking away from the TV right now.
Right.
That's not, and it disrupts the flow of the game, which disrupts the flow of commercials. You had people. That's what ended up happening here. Is the money people were mad, and it doesn't matter. But at least you get something out of it. We'll probably see a decline in this, but also Lane and every other coach will go, yeah, $50,000 for the first one.
I don't.
If I deem that it's necessary, the university will. You kidding me?
I don't think that he'll eat it.
If him and anyone else, they'll do it if they deem it's necessary.
We'll find out. Well, we might not find out this week necessarily with Ole Miss, although we might. Arkansas can be frisky.
Yeah.
Where we'll find out about it is in a week or two when they go and take on Georgia, because he's going to need every trick in his bag to win that game. And frankly, Ole Miss has to win that game if they want to make the playoff. Right now, that Kentucky loss looks really bad, and the LSU loss, while it's a close game, it's overtime, you're on the road, it's not a great loss. That schedule isn't tough enough for an Ole Miss 3-loss team to get into the playoff.
Vancouver
you
Ford
have
text
to
line
beat Georgia.
Says, what's the difference between that and purposely fouling somebody in basketball keep them from scoring? You're purposely slowing down the game to get back an advantage. The difference is in basketball, you have team fouls. If you've got if a guy goes down 4 times or you have 4 players go down during a game, it doesn't matter.
No.
There's no ramification. If you foul 4 times, guess what? The 5th foul, they're in the bonus. If you foul a guy, you wrap a guy trying to go up, they get free throws. This is what I'm talking about. And this is the same thing with the whole Oregon putting 12 men on the field thing. When you take advantage of a rule that goes so far that the intent of the rule punishes the non-offending team, that's when you have to do something. And that's why the rule gets changed about putting the 12 men on the field and the clock and the yardage and what you can accept and what you can decline. And it's the same thing here. There's a gray area because there are players that get injured. And with that, you take a look and you go, okay, let's see, what can we do that causes, a change in behavior? Well, make the fine hefty enough.
Fine. Find the coach.
Because that's where it stops and starts.
Yeah.
Is the coach.
Especially with Lane. I mean,
he has pushed it so far.
Well, and I'm also talking, with all those TikToks that he has to make, they've got to cost some money. Goodness gracious. No one's on social media more than Lane Kiffin.
No, but he's also recruited a lot better with it too.
Well, they are really hot.
Just saying.
I'm not against it.
Get down to Oxford every now and then.
I'm not going to the SIP.
You're not going to go?
No.
That's actually on my bucket list of
You want to go to the SIP? You want to go to the Grove?
Look, man. Their tailgate, the atmosphere, don't be wrong.
Or Knoxville.
I want to take the trip through. I want to hit a bunch of the SEC stadiums, but the SIP's up there.
I don't know if it
Look,
is.
I'm telling you, of all the places in Mississippi that I don't want to go, that is the one that I would like. Yeah, that's fun. I've done Biloxi. I'm like, I'm good here.
Yeah, see, I don't feel the need to go to Athens. Doesn't feel like some safe streets.
I mean, yes, but it's just, again, between the hedges, I'll go check it out. What about you?
Do I trust someone else to Uber for me? I don't know.
Get you the Athens Greece. You gonna do that?
I would do that.
There you go.
I would hang out and just go to all
streets. There are probably less safe though.
I would go, yeah, but I could go to the Parthenon, and I could go.
Look at you, Will, a cultured man. I got a Parthenon out of him,
dude. I like Greek mythology. I'm still upset that when I went to Cancun, I didn't get to go to the ruins, the
ruins.
Mayans. Yeah. I wanted to go to the Maya ruins, but the person I was with wanted to lay out at the beach. And I got to go sightseeing either way. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Still at the beach. All right. So there you go. There's our SEC news. When we come back, we'll keep it in some college football and we'll hit a little bit more NBA. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the number 1 Oregon Ducks in Ann Arbor facing Michigan tomorrow at the Big House. 12:30 kick on CBS and Paramount Plus. The Ducks are 14.5-point favorites. Our live coverage here on The Fan starts at 6 a.m. with the Center in the St. Tailgate show. Then at 8 o'clock, it's Ducks Game Day with Dirt, Dusty, and Anthony Newman. Stick around after the game and network coverage for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. In the NFL, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur says quarterback Jordan Love questionable Sunday against the Lions. And the Seahawks have ruled out wide receiver DK Metcalf Sunday against the Rams due to his knee injury. On the hard court, the Trailblazers with a quick stop at home tonight for a date with the Thunder before a 4-game road trip. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2 and Xfinity Channel 302. Shaden Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Robert Williams III, all still out. The Blazers are 11.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
I was just waiting to see the reaction on your face when you realized that it wasn't regulators.
It should have been regulators.
He's
I
sitting
want
over
my
here-
Warren G.
He's
and
like, oh, good little regulators.
Nate Dogg.
And I'm just like,
no, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. This should be.
No, it's ridiculous. All the hip hop that stole other people's music.
Nothing but sampling.
It's called remixing.
Sampling.
Like,
Bruce Hornsby.
there's a lot of remixing, man. Lil Uzi Vert just dropped an album. Should we talk about it?
No.
You're right. We shouldn't. I didn't
If we're gonna go down that vein, Young Thug avoids prison.
He did.
15 years of probation.
Yeah, and then
are we doing Mad Libs here?
I don't
lot
think
of
that he
probation.
can go to Atlanta.
He can't go back in the state.
He can work with Gunna, but he can't be around Gunna in a non-work related.
It's very strange.
And Gunna has to be signed to him. Also, Lil Uzi Vert has Big Time Rush in his album, and it's a feature, but they don't really do anything. I don't know. I prefer 2016 Uzi personally. Would you like more of my music thoughts?
I'm lost.
No, definitely not. Something else that but plenty of folks will go, what the hell? It's a Big Ten matchup that nobody cares about, but might have ramifications for whichever coach loses. USC is traveling up to Washington to take on the Huskies tomorrow night in a matchup of 4-4 teams, and I don't think you're going to find two more disappointing teams in the conference this year. Even though UW lost everyone but one player, quite literally, from their roster last year, their top 22, they started out the season looking better. They have a transfer quarterback who comes in who's been fantastic, taking care of the ball, wildly accurate. Jonah Coleman pounding the ball, successful on that side. And you just kind of go, okay, Jed Fish has got this. They're not, Signetti in Indiana, but they're pretty solid. USC starts the season out with a big-time win over LSU. And you think, okay, maybe they're going to get this thing going. They start the season off relatively well. And then they have stumbled and stammered and fallen on their face left, right, and center. And they're at the point right now, if they don't win out, it's a real issue for Lincoln Riley and USC. If USC loses to Washington this weekend, I don't know if I don't know if Lincoln gets Lane Kiffined and left on the tarmac, but the hot seat goes from pretty damn warm to nuclear very quickly.
You're more of a USC guy than I am,
No
obviously.
way.
Right? Shocker. If you go 3-1, aren't you okay? I think he's okay if he goes 3-1.
I think after the Maryland game, I think that becomes an issue because the one you're talking about is Notre Dame.
Right. I do think that obviously there's some anger. There should be some warmth to the seat that Lincoln Riley is
8-4 was
sitting on.
kind of like the minimum expectation for the season.
But at the same time, every game that you've lost, you've been in, and it's been close.
Literally,
Should you have lost?
One play separates every single loss.
Should you have lost the Maryland game?
God,
no,
no.
probably not. Should you have lost the Minnesota game?
God,
no,
no.
probably not. Michigan, looking back, that loss gets worse and worse
Yes.
each week.
Just make the freaking tackle when you have Donovan Edwards wrapped up by 3 different people.
That being said, Lincoln Riley, the first 2 years was Oklahoma Lincoln Riley. He didn't do any defense, didn't give his defensive coordinator time to do anything that they wanted. They had a defense that they ran that should have been run by a MAC team, not a Big Ten team or a Pac-12 team at the time. You, at that point, had no defensive linemen that were over 300 pounds.
Mhm.
It was ridiculous. You were just built off twists and stunts, and everything was checked with me at the line. So you had to have a linebacker that saw everything the way a coach would. It just wasn't a good defense. And he's finally made the move to Lynn to have a better defense.
And the defense really hasn't been a problem per se.
Your problems have come because of injuries.
Yes.
But here's my thing about it with Lincoln Riley is it feels like this is the first year where he's made the move to this style of coaching.
And they're still working through it.
So he should, in theory, get a little more leeway.
Mm-hmm.
If this was year one of Lincoln Riley, he would get more leeway.
Yep.
But he's not going to get that leeway because he also has issues when it comes to recruiting in state.
And it's USC. You don't get leeway at USC. You get 3 years. That's what you get.
Has he done a fireable job for 3 years?
If they lose at Washington, you might start heading. I'm not down that path because, again, my expectation for this season, for everybody who hates me in USC, blah, 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 was 8-4. You can go back. You can hear me say it 1,000 times. I never was like, hey, this is a team that, like I told Dusty. And
I think the LSU win changed a lot for a lot of
and again, and I played that up with a bit, and Dusty and I were like, I'm like, if they win this game, I'm going to go all in and just have my fun. And he goes, they're going to crash. I go, yeah, but that's half the fun.
Fair.
But like looking at this season, I expected there to be some bumps and bruises because I knew the depth was going to be an issue. And their recruiting class was and still is coming together better than it has, particularly in the trenches. But they are still not there. And
he's bad at recruiting O-linemen.
Yes,
he's really bad. I think having Lynn there makes it easier to recruit D-linemen. Now, to be fair to Lynn, the defense is better. They're just shallow. Well, you have one 300-pound defensive lineman,
and that
can't happen.
Well,
you're USC.
Not only that
can't happen at Oregon
he's
State.
Out now.
That can't happen at USC.
Bear Alexander is redshirting. He's out.
Right.
So they're light in the trunk there again, and they were already light in the trunk to begin with.
100%. But I also think that when you go through this, Lincoln Riley has to recruit O-linemen better. The problem with recruiting O-linemen better is you have to do it in high school. Mm-hmm. You have to have those guys build, and then maybe you get a transfer tackle or a transfer center. But you can't have an O-line built off of a bunch of transfers. Yeah. That's just not how that position group works. And to be honest, Lincoln doesn't connect with O-linemen.
No.
He does a bad job. O-linemen are different. They're weird dudes. Mm-hmm. They're goofy dudes.
You got to have another pig to hop in the pig pen with them.
Or they're the angriest dudes you've ever met, and they're really into Metallica, and they're bald very quickly. And so you have to have a guy that finds a way to coach that offensive lineman up. But I'm looking at the schedule right now. This is one of the more brutal schedules in the country.
Oh, no. USC's schedule this year, I believe, was 5th in the country.
LSU neutral site. Mm-hmm. Utah State, that's your pushover. You blow them out. You get Michigan at the Big House. Mm-hmm. Back when, that's a brutal place to play. I think Oregon in Autzen beats this Michigan team by 3 touchdowns easy. I think that
it's closer. It's going to be closer in Michigan.
I think the line is pretty good, right? You then beat Wisconsin, who it wasn't Wisconsin what Wisconsin is now, but that Wisconsin win looks better and better every single week.
And they dog-walked that Wisconsin. That was not a competitive game.
Not in the second half. You lost to Minnesota on the road. That Minnesota team has been frisky as hell. But they're also going to be a bowl team.
A game that you were in control of.
Should you have lost it? No, but that's a better team than people give them credit for. You should have beat Penn State. You were in it the whole way. You just gave it up at the end. But again, you lost to the number 4 team in the country. If they beat Ohio State, they'll be the number 2 team in the country.
Here's the insane thing. And this is the sliding doors.
It's a tough schedule.
This USC team, they very likely could be undefeated at this point in time.
You could make an argument.
And that's not even like me being USC guy. I'm just saying, let's throw this out there. They would not be the best team in the country, but if they were undefeated right now, they would be the number 2 team in the country.
They'd probably be the number 1, I think.
Well,
you would have wins against LSU
and Penn State,
Michigan and Penn State. Yeah. And you'd get love for having that win against Michigan on the road in the Big House.
Probably more than they should.
You would.
But you would have 2 top 10 wins against LSU and Penn State.
Yeah, or teams that at one point were top 10. Because LSU's not top 10
anymore. That's what I'm saying.
But yes, you're 100% correct.
That's how.
Then you have at Washington
the sliding doors of this.
Nebraska's a really good team. Mm-hmm. They are going to be a bowl team, but they won't be looked at as a really good team because they're not in contention for the playoff. No. They just barely lost on the road to Ohio State. They lost by 1 touchdown to a really good Illinois team. The only real bad, that's a bad blemish, is Indiana. Yeah. Indiana's undefeated.
And they're doing that to everybody. And my point is
it's a tough schedule, man.
This is the balance game that every coach has had to play at USC of trying to get the university and the program back on track, back on the swagger, the history, everything that comes along with that program. Whether it was Sark and, being on the sauce, or Lane not being mature enough or ready enough, or Clay Helton not being good enough. I think with Lincoln, you have the potential to be what you're supposed to be at that school.
He's shown he can do it before.
Look, you come in your first year and you go 11-2 and you have a Heisman Trophy winner, and that was disappointing.
You can make the argument that the worst quarterback that he has coached as a head coach is Miller Moss.
And he's really good.
It's Miller Moss or Jalen Hurts.
Again, really good. So, like, you're not worried about that. It's the other stuff, and it's the soft stuff. And if he does not figure it out by the end of this year, they may make a move. And if they bleep around and find out up at Seattle this weekend, that'll be the case. If you want to look for the silver lining, if you're looking at USC, Kyle Ford, who left and went to UCLA and came back, he was a part of that 11-2 team with Caleb Williams, said, I think that we got a young starting and we're starting to find that, and we're starting to find that identity. I was here 2 years ago. Obviously, we had an attitude about us. And that Dusty has kind of said that something just doesn't feel like that they're connecting. They're not coming together. And I think there's been some truth in that. And I think Lincoln Riley, and this is where I give Dan Lanning all of the credit, is that from the moment he got at Oregon, that has never once been a question. You can talk about the recruiting and development, all that kind of stuff. That, I think anybody can do that. As far as like if you've got the right people in place. I think what you can't teach is how to bring players together. And I think Lanning might be the best in the country at it. I think he knows how to, which is insane considering he's 38?
I don't know that he's the best. I think he learned from the two best.
And
one is retired.
Yeah. But yes, he has an ability to relate and push buttons better than I think anybody in the country.
He's doing a great job of it, and that's why they're where they're at. And Lincoln has to figure that out.
Yep, and I think that's the biggest thing he's got missing. All right, coming up next, we'll do a nice little bow on today's show and finish off Football Friday before we hand you off to Isaac and Suk here on Danny and Dusty, Today the Fan. right, the Trailblazers run into the Buzzsaw tonight. They take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. You gonna watch some basketball?
I have to coach high school football. Go Hawkinson Hawks
the Hawks.
over the Washougal Panthers. Boo, Washougal, boo.
Wow, they didn't go with the alliteration at Washougal, huh? It's not the Washougal
They're not
Wombats.
smart enough to figure that out.
What would you go with? Washougal Wildcats? We have too many Wildcats. We need more Wombats.
What's
out
against
there.
Wildcats? Go Central, baby.
No, I'm saying there's just too
See,
many.
woo.
There's too many Wildcats. It's too.
My kids will be Wildcats if we stay at Westview.
There you
and I
go.
think Wilsonville is Wildcats.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like if there's a W,
Wildcats
it's like
are popular, man.
Again, if you like a W, is like what you go with. But why not?
Washougal could be.
We need more. We need more Wombats.
The Washougal Walruses.
Wolverines.
We had cinnamon, like, yeah, you know, it's not like we're short on
And they could
W animals.
dress up like Charlie Sheen. That would be a great mascot.
Yeah.
Or Swayze, maybe.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day about movies that have 1,000 people in them. We did not bring up Red Dawn, and we should have.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I mean, here you go. Here's
like
just
The
a
Outsiders.
handful of animals. Let's start with W.
Okay.
Walrus, we hit.
Walrus,
Wombat, we hit.
Mhm.
Wildcats. What about a wallaby?
Ooh.
How about a warthog?
Wallaby, known for being in Washougal. Wallabies are all over Washougal.
How about wasps?
They could be the wasps. See, but the problem is Hawkinson is the Hornets until high school.
Really? They have alternate?
Well, remember, now get ready. I'm going to teach you something about Hawkinson lore. Hawkinson was originally just K through 8, so it was always Hawkinson Hornets. The Hawks, the high school of Hawkinson, wasn't built until I think 2002, 2003.
Wow, nobody was smart enough till then, huh?
Nah, Prairie just rode our coattails. You're welcome for Richie Sexton.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Dustin will be back in on Monday. Will Ortner, thank you for sitting in for 2 days, bud.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you. Everybody out there, stay safe. Make sure you give and hand off all of your candy that you don't want, like I did today, where I brought in all the remaining candy from our bowl and dropped it off here at 1080 for everybody else to eat. Because
I've
Lord
had
knows.
Three Musketeers and a pack of M&Ms.
Did you ball up the nougat?
I didn't this time. I
Dang
just
it.
shoved it all in there in one piece.
You shouldn't have told us, but then done it. Like throughout the show,
Just
that would have been
flicking
awesome.
nougat everywhere. Just nougat
That
stuck
would
in
be
the window.
so fun. Like we don't know, but then we start looking back, and it's like, what's going on the YouTube? Rust is making a ball.
Yep.
All right, that'll do it for us. Everybody, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. It's now time for Isaac 2 in prime time here on 1080 The Fan. Bye.
I started eating out of the pie.
Wow, they get that big?
That's what she said.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to
Prime Time with Isaac and Sue.
There are big plays to be had because you've got dudes on the outside.